sponsored by the title sponsors, or certainly one of the title sponsors of the MellanaGP squad. Things, I guess, their point of view are just meant to be. Well, I asked the question earlier on, is this now the MotoGP title favourite? And he will feel so. Diogo Moreira, 2 points behind now. Gonzalez, 247. Moreira, 245 points. For David Alonso, and he's been good, he's been extraordinary in Moto2 this season. Surely that's going to be his base level next season. But today is the day that Senna Asian conquered Phillip Island. Podium finisher last year, winner here, and he gets to hear the Australian national anthem at home. At Phillip Island in MotoGP history, advanced Australia fair follows out around this magnificent closed circuit. Generations now pops the race winning Prosecco. A day that he is never ever going to forget. A big day in terms of championship potentially as well. Well, of course we are. Has to be a shoey, doesn't it? Go on, Senna's trying to whip the home fans up into a bit of a frenzy here. Gonna get a side 10 full of Prosecco now. There's Father Jono looking on. Yeah, he's taking on the crowd, and there you go. Well, that is going to taste very, very nice. Jürgen Link, the team manager, going, yeah, come on, I want some as well. Big sip coming in for Jürgen Link. Let's see the team owner take a big guzzle. There you go. Such a great character. I'm not too sure how much he was open to actually get in his mouth there. He's got a proper Prosecco shower. I believe that some of the sign of our impact is actually flying out to Kuala Lumpur this evening. I wonder if they might be cancelling some or modifying some of their travel plans to KL in the next few hours. Flight to them. I want to change yours because it's going to be quite a round flight over to Kuala Lumpur. What a day for Senna Asian, what a weekend it's been. He looked twice the clash of the field on Friday. Even if Diogo Moreira was the fastest rider, the race rhythm looked like it was Senna Asian's Grand Prix. That was how it improved. Asian, the winning margin doesn't really do him justice, but it was 3.6 seconds over David Alonso, who won that monumental battle for P2. Diogo Moreira a valuable third. Danny Holgado could well have been on the podium himself had he not gone hot and nearly wiped out Moreira a few laps from home. Dixon fifth from Baltus and Manu Gonzalez, and Pat ran the outside by Baltus on the final lap. Arenas 8, Canet 9, and losing 4 title points. Zaki fades expanding to 10th. West at 11th for Vaya Roberts Binder, and Alonso Lopez takes 1 point. Marcos Ramirez, the sole retirement from the Australian Grand Prix today. He pulled into the pits midway through. How close do you like it? 3 races to go, 2 points in it. Manu Gonzalez clings on to the World Championship lead, but for how much longer? Aaron Canet, well, he might well drop out of title contention along with Barry Baltus and Jake Dixon. Next time out in Malaysia, with 75 points now left on the table. Senna Asian does climb a place to 8th in the World Championship, while Alonso Lopez, he loses further ground down to 16th place. Marcos Ramirez, another rider, falling down the championship order today as the American racing teammates swap
places. So Robert moves up to 13th place, he's second. His 10k top 10 finish from a career best qualifying. That lifts him up ahead of Danny Munoz and Darren Finder. Of course, the Constructors' Champion, they took another victory today. Oscuro's best was Jake Dixon, who took a hard-fought 5th place. Team standing, still advantage Bantic after they took 6th and 9th today. From only John Bolton to close the gap though after 18 completions today. 37 points between the top two. And try and pick out what happened to Barry Baltus at the start. He's just up to the right-hand side of your screen in around about 10th or 11th place from now. He goes into the first corner. He's got a blue crew Pramac Oscuro on the inside of him. And Baltus there drops off the outside of turn 1. That was where he lost all of those places. We had a freeway back on the front from the opening lap. Adrian did briefly lose the lead as he went wide into Stewart corner. Herrera seizing the advantage. Corner though, Center Radius regaining the advantage as Ferreira lost 2 places to both at the intact teammate Gonzalez getting his elbows out early on. David Alonso, who started from the second row of the grid, and he fancies a return to the podium, and he sees 2nd place. Before that, it was a straight head-to-head between the top 2 in the World Championship as they traded 3rd place, Ferreira and Gonzalez. Free wedge, the more Gonzalez began to drop back down the order. Alonso passing Ferreira at the same time Dixon took Gonzalez, with Manny making the end back to P7 as Holgado piled through. Final punish will be on the final lap when Barry Baltus passed him to 6th place. The battle for 2nd went all the way down to the wire, but none of them could even see Center Radius, who took victory by 3.6 seconds in truth. Winning margin should have been around double that. A monumental and memorable home victory for Center Radius. The Aussie wins the Australian Grand Prix in Moto2. What chance of more Aussie success in MotoGP? We'll begin our build-up next. Penguin Parade and Classy Landscape, Phillip Island sits close to seaside towns of Cowes and San Remo. First stage of the Grand Prix in 1989. Revered for its high-speed layout and scene of some of the fierce and close battles in history. Phillip Island's fierce layout is not for the faint-hearted. Round 19 is next live. It's time to race in MotoGP. 4.45 kilometres, 2.764 miles make up this absolutely jaw-dropping Phillip Island circuit. First fill back in 1956, 12 corners, 5 of them right, 7 of them left. MotoGP bikes powering down the Gardner Straight, 900 metres in length at over 350 kilometres an hour. And into the Durham corner, the left-hander through the southern loop, Stoner corner, the power sliding turn 3. Good overtaking, hot spot down the hill into turn 10 as you start that final sector. And then of course it's all about time management through that high speed turn 12. Turns 11, 10 and 12, there's where the Michelin tyres really going to work out. Overtaking hot spots, one of them into the Miller corner.
of turn 4. This was Marc Marquez versus Jorge Martin, last two MotoGP World Champions together last year. Something glorious sunshine yesterday here at Phillip Island. Marco Bezzecchi starting from the front row of the grid on the back career. Fabio Quartararo from pole dropped out of early contention down to 5th place. He left two Aprilis at the front. This was a scary moment for the Naval Fernandez. Just about evaded trouble from Bez behind him. Just after the halfway point though, as Marco Bezzecchi to seize the advantage. Aprilia, their first ever sprint 1-2 over 13 laps yesterday. Bez leading home Ralph Fernandez. For the first time in 58 sprints as Pedro Acosta completes the podium. No Ducati victory in our post-sprint medal ceremony. More trouble, more woes, more frustration. Double world champion Pecco Bagnaia has the checkered flag over 30 seconds back in yesterday's sprint. Of course, some of our superstars missing over here this weekend in Australia. No world champion Marc Marquez after his collision with Marco Bezzecchi in Mandalay 2 weeks ago. As a result of that means in this upcoming 27-lap Grand Prix of Australia, Marco Bezzecchi, who is a massive pre-race favourite after his sprint domination yesterday, 3.1 seconds clear of Fernandez, will serve a double long lap. That's something for close by. A couple of moments for Bez in this 27-lap battle. Round 19 about to get underway then in MotoGP. Other high-profile absentees, former world champion Jorge Martin and Maverick Vinales, also sidelined through injury. We'll see none of those three, sadly, next time out in Malaysia. But as the waves break on these beautiful sandy beaches of the Bass Strait, what a location, what a setting this is. Always spectacular scenery and spectacular action here at Phillip Island. And this one should deliver something truly special once again in particular. Marco Bezzecchi looking to pull off his own Aussie miracle as he looks to become just the second rider in MotoGP history to win a Grand Prix with 2 long laps. Jack Miller, the home hero, who starts to be front row of the grid, did so at the French Grand Prix in Le Mans back in 2021. That was a flag-to-flag encounter though. Bezzecchi to be the first rider to come back from 2 long laps in a dry Grand Prix and take the spoils. Well, we'll assume it's going to be dry. We believe it will be, despite the fact that race day 19 here today in Australia has been dominated by very blustery and windy conditions. That's why actually we'll be lights out about an hour later than our normal schedule. We organised to move the entire race programme back 6 minutes, just to make sure that we avoided the worst of some powerful gusts this morning. No dramas. That's some entertaining backstory in Moto3 and Moto2. Up next though is MotoGP. Matt Lewis Sotheby in the commentary box, Jack Appleyard down in pit lane with a very striking sprint. It's our sprint winner, Marco Bezzecchi, who comes to the back of his factory, Aprilia garage. Never has Bez taken a double win in MotoGP. An absolute hard way with a double long lap incoming. You have to say, Lewis, when we spoke to a whole number of his rivals yesterday, after the early singles drama, a whole bunch of riders making their way through a flock of singles. This is about the most dramatic moment of Marco Bezzecchi's sprint. It happened before he had even started. You see there, looking for cover behind him with Fabio Quartararo. But Bez, after the singles drama, most of the untroubled in the sprint.
Yeah, that was the only real drama for him. I feel though he's going to have to make a better start than he did yesterday. Ralph Fernandez, of course, seized the early advantage in the sprint yesterday. And still, this move where they clash into each other. Bezzecchi losing it a little on the downhill approach to turn 10. But will finally chasing down Ralph Fernandez and passing him into the southern route. You're going to have to overtake a few more riders you fancy today with those 2 long lap penalties, which he spent pretty much all of this morning's warm-up session practicing to try and lose as little time as possible. Really feel the double on that penalty has added some extra spice to his Grand Prix. Without it, Bez had the speed to win at a canter at the front of the race. He wants a challenge, he's got one.
You need to calculate to work out the amount of time that Bezzecchi has been inside the long lap penalty loop this weekend. It is something that is very well rehearsed from the Italian. In practice makes perfect. Well, he will still be a big figure and a big part part to play in this battle. This is the reason why he has the 2 long laps that are missed. Unfortunately, is an incident, a collision, which threatens Marc Marquez's participation in the remainder of a 2025 World Championship campaign, which up to this very point has been superb. Come back fully loaded, come back complete, one of the best we've seen in history. Just 7 days prior to that scary crash and turn 7 on lap 1 in Mandalika. Unfortunately, Marc Marquez knew straight away there was damage to his right shoulder, a fracture in the right shoulder blade. Marc did wait a full week to try and see that injury, and some damaged ligaments would recover naturally. Unfortunately, after that 7-day checkup with medical team in Madrid, it was obvious that a surgical intervention was going to be required. Some specialists, some experts calculated that Marc's recovery period for the injury could be 2 weeks, 4 months, which unfortunately would rule him out of the remainder of the 2025 campaign. He has not, we have to say, ruled himself out. The captain have not said that Marc will not be back on the GP25 at any stage this season. It looks like Valencia will be the earliest he can return. A few people saying, well, he might just come back for the post-race test session. But of course, we send our wishes, our best wishes for speedy recovery to Marc, to Jorge Martin, and to Maverick Vinales. Of course, let's not forget, they were our front row qualifiers, our top 3 on the grid in our 2024 running of the Australian Grand Prix.
Please, only this man, Alex Rins, and Joan Zarco back in 2022 and 2023 respectively, the only 2 riders on the grid this afternoon who have won the Australian Grand Prix before on a MotoGP cycle. That's Rins, one here in all 3 classes of racing. He's competed here in Moto3, Moto2 and MotoGP. It would be overrating if I to say that anybody could win this Australian Grand Prix, but surely there are at least half a dozen possible contenders to win this race, considering Bez's handicap.
Best sprint yesterday for Jack Miller since the Japanese Grand Prix in 2023. Certainly his best sprint on the Prima Pramac Yamaha. And Miller, well, he's already drilled his home fans here this weekend. Led the way in FP1 on Friday, and then having come out of a real tricky Q1 session behind Fermin Albier, Miller then took or grasped his opportunity for a front row start with both hands. That's the first front row of the grid in 45 Grand Prix. Put up a real good fight for the bronze medal place yesterday, just behind Pedro Acosta. This, though, is a completely different proposition. This is a different ball game. This Phillip Island circuit, one of the most punishing on tyres, particularly the rear tyre, on the entire calendar. Mr. Motorsport Manager Piero Calamata saying it's something they have to contend with throughout the whole year. He's not going to be going to go gangbusters. There's going to be no gung-ho attacks on soft rear tyre in this 27-lap race.
How on earth must this man feel walking into a Ducati box, walking into relative darkness? It's been a dark weekend for Pecco so far. Finished second last in the sprint yesterday with only his rider teammate Katie Pirro behind him. Grid position is not actually correct, what you can see on screen there. He qualified in 11th place. He does take a 3-place grid penalty, which drops him to 14th on the grid. As if he needed any further bad news, we watched him in warm up this morning. He had all manner of instability on his Ducati.
Cannot wait to see the back end of the 2025 season. Can he take a bang? That's the reason why they're impeding a great friend, Bezzecchi, at the end of that qualifying session. Busted then with a 3-place grid penalty. If he hasn't got enough issues to deal with the 28-year-old Italian, who, I mean, you have to pose the question, where on earth does he go from here? I mean, talk about the highs and lows of a Grand Prix motorcycle race. At the start of our Asia Pacific swing, which feels like an awful long time ago now, doesn't it, as far as Bagnaia is concerned, he was absolutely superb over in Japan, disappeared without trace last time out in Mandalika, and he has sunk once again so far here in Phillip Island. Not too many crumbs and cup we can offer him either at the moment. It's been an absolute shocker.
Hasn't scored a single point since, which means tonight Marquez could crown himself World Championship runner-up today. That's the mathematics, that's what he has to do today. So whether Marquez is reaching this for the first time the same as us, but if he has scored Pecco Bagnaia by 20 points and Marquez by 12, then Marquez will secure second position today. If he doesn't today, shortly or very shortly, 20 points gain of Bagnaia means that he needs a minimum of second place, of course.
Well, there have been so many questions circling around the paddock and circling around the whole MotoGP fan base really about what is going on right now with Tissot Bagnaia. Well, there's one man in the know. What on earth is going on, James? With Dominic Carlotti, the boss.
Yeah, very, very tough weekend for the factory mechanics, but it's not often that we see both of the bikes at the bottom of the race. Warm up this morning, it seems to get worse, Davide. Have you got an explanation of what's been happening this weekend?
Otherwise, we have found the problem and solved it. But yeah, we tried something, very, very tough this morning that doesn't work, and now we are back in a different setup. But yeah, this morning we made some, I want to say, funny setup to try to understand. But then we are back in quite normal situation, and we'll see how it works.
I mean, how is Pecco mentally dealing with everything that's been going on of late? From the highs of Japan to being dead last time out, 30 seconds behind, 32 seconds behind yesterday for a world champion. Mentally, how difficult to cope.
Yeah, horrible. But we are trying hard to try to understand, because as you said, that coming from the way the domination of the fan to the last following week with the bike, for us is something hard to understand, but obviously we trust Pecco, and we are trying to solve his problems. Now this chasing on the front is something that not been removed from our engineers, and we'll see today, and then we will have another some weekend next week, but we are hardly trying to help.
That's the thing, the race is coming so fast every weekend. There's no break for Pecco. How critical is this situation right now?
Yeah, I think that mentally it's very hard. It's a tough year, so we are trying to manage it on his side in the best way, but it's not very good. But in the end, again, we trust Pecco, we show potential in Japan, and coming from the first to last is something that never happened, and yeah, we have to find out something, but not easy.
Thanks, Davide.
Yeah, it's certainly not easy. It seems like everybody's kind of a bit perplexed about Pecco's current issues. I've never seen anything like in my long Grand Prix career, where a rider goes from the top step of the podium to the back of the pack and just nowhere. I mean, it's not just that Pecco was last. In Mandalika at the wrong end of the sprint yesterday, is the massive gulf in time. Nowhere. The time to say that when he was at 32, when the pace was 27, 28, it was just abysmal.
Most of the yesterday was the 129. Tissot Bagnaia second last was 29.2. So that gives you an idea of just how much he was struggling. It was hard to watch when he came into the catty boxes. It was hard to watch him in the warm-up this morning. Clearly, that rather extreme and experimental technique, shall we call it, did not work, because he looked like he was riding on gravel when he was coming out of the final corner. The captain taking him from side to side, and he came into the pit early in the session. Raul Fernandez, though, well, if the sprint yesterday is any kind of form guide, it's Raul in the pound seat to take advantage of Marco Bezzecchi's double long lap penalty. It really seems to be the pick of the bunch this weekend.
Certainly does. Bezzecchi led home Raul Fernandez in a fully 1-2 on Friday. Led home in a fully 1-2 with Bez yesterday in the sprint. Looks like he might well have the potential for a first Sunday Grand Prix podium. This was the start yesterday, immediately around the outside of Quattararo. Alex Marquez, of course, got the whole shot on the Grassini racing cap. Alex was driven a little bit wide as the field attacked the southern loop turn 2. Just watch this. Seizing his opportunity there as Marquez does run off one, the 73 catching. You know what, he's got a big smile on his face, because that saw Raul Fernandez sweep into a sprint lead. He made Marco Bezzecchi work hard to take it away from him. Fair. This was the key moment. Bezzecchi just taking that big look beautifully. Just made sure he got the corner speed, his brake Marcus nailed on going through the Durham corner, and on that flip flop, the change direction into the southern loop. That was as far as Bez was concerned. But that's a best ever MotoGP finish for Raul Fernandez. Second in the sprint, yeah, Vamos in a big fist bump. No wonder he looks pretty cool and calm. Just surely he knows that this, given Aprilia's clear advantage, clear speed around the fast section of Phillip Island, and just potential all weekend so far, it's a great opportunity, his best opportunity he feels, to match that first Sunday Grand Prix top three.
Well, normally when we come to Phillip Island, we're looking skyward to work out what the weather's going to do. We were hoping for dry conditions and for the wind to die down a little bit before lights out. What's the current situation, Jeff?
Yeah, the good news is the wind has definitely died down compared to when these bikes were last out in morning warm-up earlier this morning. It is significantly lower. There is, however, slight concern about the rain. There is a little pocket of weather just to the south of us at the moment. I just went to speak to Lucio Cecchinello, and this will be interesting for the LCR squad because they are preparing the second bike for wet conditions just in case. So, crucially, not only are they preparing for a flight-to-flight scenario, but if there are any problems on the side lap, on the warm-up lap, and for both Johan Zarco and Tom Giacchino, that second bike is ready for the wet. So it's something to keep an eye on. Obviously, I'll be looking skywards as ever, and if we get any raindrops, I'll let you guys know.
Well, that would really be a turn up for the public, wouldn't it, here in Australia? The last forecast that I looked at, it was suggesting rain late in the evening here on Sunday night in Australia. We just saw there Brad Pitt.
right next to him then, the three-race favourite, well, for many years, Marco Bezzecchi, even though he starts with the double long lap penalty deserved. Here is the grid. Jack informs everyone on the medium grid. While you look at the grid, let's head down to the grid and speak to Mustang KTM. Watch out for Pedro Acosta fighting for the podium today. Aki over Jack.
Yeah, once again proved yesterday that Pedro, the toughest man to overtake on the MotoGP grid right now. Aki, the switch to the medium rear. Could that help you guys today? How do you fancy your chances?
Hopefully, it has been a few times this year that we've seen that on Sunday with the harder rear side, maybe, let's say, somehow riders are a bit more comfortable. That at least it's not maybe those small problems what we have sometimes with the soft rear. And could be that we are a little bit better position. But okay, now the main point is of course first of all to see that the rain is coming or not, and of course the discussions are just about this, if it's coming and what you do and all the possibilities. But hopefully it stays dry, and I think still the main option for everyone is hard front and medium rear for the race.
According to your information, how likely is it that this rain arrives?
If we trust our radar, it should not come anymore. If you look in the sky, you cannot see that.
Good luck at it.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Thanks, Lucky. What's the famous saying in this part of the world? If you don't like the weather, just wait 10 minutes because it'll be completely different. 4 seasons in a day is how they describe the weather in Victoria. Fabio Quattararo lined up for an attack from Tom. We just saw that grid graphic, and you can see quite clearly from Jack Chandler, the only outlier in terms of his tyre choice, tyre rider. Every rider's got one medium front. Every other rider, our current information is hard front.
Fabio Quattararo, not exactly going for his medium front tyre yesterday. He said he knew immediately that he had made the wrong call. Doesn't want to, I guess, try and compound that by making another tyre choice mistake today. So he hasn't gone for the soft rear tyre. We're expecting a slower pace, of course, than we had in the Prix yesterday. But Marco Bezzecchi surely has to go on the attack early on. He has to try and secure the lead on that first lap and try and stretch clear. With those 2 long lap penalties to serve, he's surely guaranteed to emerge from those long laps in traffic. The question is, how much?
Maverick Vinales has done it. Aleix Spargo has done it. Double winners for Aprilia in previous years. Tom Gary winning it, double win on the double long lap for Bezzecchi. Quattararo finds Mullers and Pretzel, pose from Bezzecchi, one of a whole bunch of riders who were at yesterday. Well, given his brilliance in the Prix, he is still Bezzecchi's favourite for the Grand Prix. Despite the long lap visits, Fabio Quattararo, one of several contenders who said absolutely see nothing to suggest that Bez will not be able to recover from the long laps, which are going to cost him anything sort of around 4 to 5 seconds. So it's a handicap and dangerous, and he certainly would have wanted. I guess from our point of view, and from already watching home with neutral, it's probably the best thing that could have happened. Not the Marc Marquez, of course, has Marc recovered from a shoulder blade injury. Marco Bezzecchi without those 2 long laps, well, this could have been a runaway success for the start.
The pure time off of the long lap. His winning drive from pole position. He's speaking now to Jack.
Fabio comes to the grid with the medium rear. How difficult do you think it was that? Were you tempted to fall by the top? But yeah, let's see how it's going to work with this lap and see if it's going to but good luck.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks to Fabio Quattararo, winless in the last 68 Grand Prix, all the way back to the German Grand Prix at Sachsenring in 2022. Does the absence of key figures like Marquez, Martin and Vinales open the door, pushing wider jars for Quattararo and co? Surely so. Problem is, how do you stop Bezzecchi? Well, the 2 long laps will be the only way to stop Marco Bezzecchi in this 27 lap Grand Prix of Australia coming your way in what is about 15 minutes time. moment then, we still can have our comic book window, and there are some rather worrying and threatening grey clouds. It is still dry, but how much longer that remains the case, well, that's what you get in this part of the world.
That is a pit lane, isn't it? With a hook. Jack going through the foreground, full of spare bikes, ready to be set up for himself from the grid. Remember, it was here yesterday, so he enjoyed his first MotoGP experience, especially on the home hero, Jack Miller, who now returns to the grid, heading across to the front row.
He's not the most famous Christopher Grinder, is he? Christopher Grinder is former Grand Prix winner, and our favourite is Lee Sterling, worked for some of our MotoGP colleagues down on the grid. But yeah, fantastic to see Hollywood A-lister Chris Hemsworth enjoying all the build-up to this Australian Grand Prix. We're certainly hoping as well that there's going to be some home success delivered by Jack Miller. Saw there that beautiful final race winning trophy. Such an iconic prize to win at an iconic Grand Prix venue. It's one race that every rider wants on their CV. And of course, this man has got one on his CV in Australia, MotoGP win in that incredibly dramatic 2023 race. I moved Saturday, of course, with concerns about the inclement weather on Sunday, and what a race it was. Jorge Martin bolted, gambling onto the soft rear tyre with his fight for the top championship. What a fun that was. So close to success, 26 laps and 4 corners. Martin looked like a genius, looked like a hero, but quickly went to zero. And it was from then Hamak the captain mate, Zarko, who came steaming on through to an unforgettable victory. The first time since what, the late 2016, we witnessed the Zarko back.
Very best race of all time have taken place here. 2016 battle, of course, we never going to settle on. 2017, also another epic battle at the front of the race. Will we see something similar here this afternoon? There is Chris Hemsworth with Jack Miller, Aussie heroes, sharing a moment together on the grid. The Hollywood superstar next to a man who will certainly earn superstar status if he can win the Australian Grand Prix.
Like Jack's about to go and work with Chris. Saturday we'll go immediately down to Jack and Chris on the grid.
Yeah, I just no camera, Chris. We're on the world feed globally with MotoGP. We just seen you embrace Jack then. I know you're a huge fan of two-wheeled motorsport. I guess you're going to be rooting for the number 43 in this one.
Absolutely, yeah. Trying to give him some advice. My advice for son listen to me. Have fun, go win. But it's good, mate. I grew up in the Island, and talking to a lot of the guys, so they say this is their favourite track out of a lot of the folks around the world. It's something, you know, obviously personal nostalgia. Haven't spent a lot of time here myself. My dad used to race here many years ago, so it's exciting.
MotoGP machines in full flight, is there anything quite like it?
Oh, not at all. You know, it's like, you know, the Formula One has the same sort of instant visceral effect on the body, and the bikes I feel more familiar with, and I don't know, I think it's the blood running, it's intense passion, and makes you want to get out there and have a ride yourself.
Great to be here, enjoy the race.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great get that, Jack. Well done, mate, down on the grid. Always fantastic to see a global superstar sharing their love and affection for this great sport. Of course, he's from this part of the world, Phillip Island, isn't he? Chris Hemsworth. Well, the advice was very simple, wasn't it, to Jack? Well, don't listen to me, have fun and win the race. Brilliant stuff from Chris Hemsworth. Okay, then Ralph and Naxed, second in the sprint yesterday. What a day it was for Aprilia and the track out. Can they take the fight for a win here for this fight? Let's get the thoughts. Come on, Davide Brivio to Jack.
Davide, second yesterday with Marco having the long lap today, the double long lap. Does that make Raul the favourite?
No. I mean, one off, I would say. Yeah, I mean, we cannot hide ourselves. Raul really got the speed, he's driving well. But then, of course, you know, the race is always unpredictable. Let's see how we can start, how we can manage the tire through the race, because here in Phillip Island it's always, you know, let's see. Of course, everybody's on a medium today compared to yesterday on a soft. It's a different game, but tire management always plays an important role. So, yeah, I mean, we can do a good result. But, okay, that's the sport. Let's see how the sport, what the sport will give us back. Good luck today, David. Thank you.
Ralph Fernandez back out to pretty soon. He does have the potential to deliver a great result, doesn't he? Second in the sprint, into the first half of it as we get ready for the pre-race grid ceremony here. Right, we're looking at our company box window, rather nervous, just making sure there's no spots of rain. Myself and Lewis have an absolutely brilliant perch. The best company boxes we have the whole season. We're just on the outside of turn 4, the middle corner, so we can see the MotoGP bikes powering through turn 3, up towards the Siberian corner as well. We're going to take a very short pause then now. It's always a very special moment as we get to the Banff Australia Fair ahead of the 2025 Australian Grand Prix here at fantastic 35. Part of the world, a fantastic racetrack and a fantastic rendition of a Banff Australia Fair by Sam and Sam then as we come to our countdown for this Australian Grand Prix. Joan Zarco just checking out the shaved head of Jack Miller. This is a flag-to-flag race. You know, two of the bravest and boldest in rapidly changing conditions are going to be Zarco and Miller. They have both previously won flag-to-flag battles in MotoGP. Jack Miller won a flag-to-flag battle with long laps himself. That's the only time it's ever happened in Grand Prix history. Perfect time in Marco Bezzecchi. That's the moment that will take you down. That'll be done in a full stride Grand Prix, hasn't it? Bezzecchi then and Ralph Fernandez. First and second for yourself, first and second on Friday. Can they get the job done again here this afternoon to the fourth spot? Massimo Rivo's check.
Well, Massimo, everybody I speak to says that despite the double long lap penalty, Marco's still the favourite for this one. Do you agree with them?
No, I don't. I think there is Pedro, there is, for sure there is Raul, and there are a few more riders that have this long lap penalty. I don't think it's about the 2.5 second roughly that you lose per lap, but per penalty, but it's more about the traffic. You jump in, doing these two penalties in the first 5 laps, you will be in the middle of the group. So how much time you can recover, that is the big question, and not doing any kind of mistake is not going to be still in our mind quite fresh, so better not to do mistakes and get the tangle going.
Does Marco have a direct plan on how to tackle the double long lap penalty, or does it depend on the start?
Yes, obviously the start will be exactly what it is.
Good luck.
Take the lead at the start and be able to extend his advantage and short wait as late as possible. Also because of that penalty, he might have to take a decision bottle up early in the race, just get them out of the way, and then chase back from further back down the order. It's going to be fascinating to see just where Ben emerges at the end of the second into long lap. He won't be able to come through there on the very first lap. He'll get the instruction on his dashboard sometime on the first lap after he passes turn 4, and then from that point he will have 5 laps to reserve 2 long lap penalties. Long lap penalty zones. Enjoy your street
dynamic, an extra dimension, doesn't it, to this Australian Grand Prix. Benteke clearly the fastest rider on circuit all weekend, having to do the 2 long laps. Will some rain throw another spanner in the works? You imagine Benteke has to contend with a flag-to-flag race and 2 long laps. Who knows whether the heavens will open here very, very shortly. We certainly hope they don't. Miss Aldeguer, well, before crashing back down to earth with a bit of a bum, wasn't he, yesterday after his brilliant in Mandalika a couple of weeks ago. Second youngest rider in Spanish history to win in the top class. First rookie to do so since Roy Martin in 2021. A lot of momentum gained from Aldeguer in that runaway success in Indonesia. Has always been sucked out of his sails after a crash at Siberia and outside of points went places yesterday in Prix. Jack Miller then, front row of the grid for the 30th time in his MotoGP career. Been years before. 30 years of age now, here's the rider from Townsville. Can he deliver a top performance to send the Aussie fans home happy? Marco Benteke, it's all about his tactics and strategy, isn't it, in those first 5 laps where he had to do the 2 long laps. Well, Fernandez also a big contender, no question. Maybe even for the victory, depending on what happens to Benteke headed on that factory. Pretty just some last minute words of encouragement then for Miller.
Like Jack Miller, the Marco Benteke looking for some inspiration. Jack Miller is the only rider ever in MotoGP to have served 2 long lap penalties and still won the race. He got those for speeding in the pit lane during that flag-to-flag race in Le Mans back in 2021. That is the only time that the 1 long lap penalty has ever been overcome to take victory.
We know what a rocket ship off the line that KTM RC16 is, and as we saw quite brilliantly throughout the whole of the Indonesian Grand Prix on the Sunday, and yesterday in the sprint, Pedro Acosta right now is arguably the hardest rider to overtake. Ultimate blocker right now is Acosta. He's on to play the cards uphill with the KTM, and it has strength in certain areas, and I think have to capitalise on that. Miller then looking to be the first Australian home winner for the final MotoGP since 2012. Tissot, Marco Benteke looking for a double win with a double long lap, but flying away from pole position. Fabio Quartararo looking for his first victory in 3.5 years. The Yamaha star leads the field away from the front of the grid. Sanctuary in 2022. Can Marco Benteke completing a fully rout of this Phillip Island battle, having been dominant on the front row to win yesterday's 13-lap sprint, and Jack Miller with the hopes of a nation, the hopes of the Aussie motorsport fans all around this great nation, wondering if he can produce some magic here today. Miller going from his first front row start on the Pramac Yamaha. Won't discount Pedro Acosta from the second row of the grid. As always here in Australia, this will be a time management race. Who can manage the medium rear tyre over the full 27 laps? Are we going to get some flag-to-flag drama? Rain hanging in the air, moving large just off the coast here here in Phillip Island. The riders, though, are going to be starting on Michelin slick rubber. Joan Zarco, of course, already a winner in a flag-to-flag encounter, memorably so, that French Grand Prix in Le Mans as we started our European campaign. Jack Miller, going to be going for Broadway, nothing to lose. Just a quick reminder, if this is the first time you're joining us here in Australia, Marco Bezzecchi has a double long lap penalty after his controversial collision on lap 1 with newly crowned MotoGP World Champion Marc Marquez, who was unfortunately just 2 weeks after lifting the biggest prize in motorcycle racing in Motegi, was once again back under the surgeon's knife. Sadly, fracture to his right shoulder blade will keep Marc Marquez sidelined until probably the last round of the season in Valencia, if not for the remainder of 2025. Still some good news though, Beckers, more and good news, let's be honest, as far as the Marquez family are concerned. For the first time in Grand Prix history, what a story this would be as we look to have a Alex Marquez 1-2 in the World Championship. Alex can actually seal second place overall in the standings today, depending on what happens to the out of sorts double world champion Pecco Bagnaia, who limped over the finish line in the sprint yesterday, 19th place, over 32 seconds behind winner Marco Bezzecchi. He's actually going to be hanging on to potentially third and fourth in the championship. The race is going for Pecco Bagnaia, who is having the biggest crisis of his Grand Prix career, not just in MotoGP. Fabio Quartararo, then a rather disappointing 7th from pole position at the end of that 13-lap sprint yesterday. Can he make amends and be the first winner on a Yamaha in 7 years? Maverick Vinales in the business here on M1 back in 2018. Green flag then are cleared at the back. It's lights out, we're racing in MotoGP here in Australia. It's a superb start from second place to the grid by sprint winner Marco Bezzecchi. Quartararo, like yesterday, is going the wrong way. Acosta achieves that lightning speed of the KTM on the run down into the Dua corner. Acosta immediately up into third place. Miller runs a little bit wide going on the brakes into the Dua corner. That's allowed Quartararo back through into fourth place. But it's Bez that leads in that Aprilia 1-2 once again.
Another false start set for Quartararo, but he had the lead limited the damage somewhat, and this is perfect for Marco Bezzecchi. That's exactly what he would have wanted to achieve on this first lap. Get out front, pull an advantage out, so the long laps aren't going to cost you as much.
Yeah, and Fernandez now as Acosta touched out the brakes into the Miller corner against Quartararo. That was like Prix getting a little bit hung out to drive on the 10th factory Honda going through the Miller corner. I think Alex Marquez has the inside line. Paul Espargaro and Maverick Vinales to replace him, so another good getaway. Espargaro through second to 1 in 8.
I mean, Antonio is up 1 into 9. He's a rider who expects to be motoring towards the front of this race. So it's the factory Aprilia from the track house Aprilia, but Pedro Acosta right behind Raul Fernandez there and gets effectively battling for the lead of the race once Bezzecchi jumps out of the way.
Great start, a superb start, wasn't it, from Bezzecchi. He absolutely nailed it away from the lines to put himself in prime position now to lead the Grand Prix to the first of his 2 long laps. Further back down the order, Aldeguez hopes to be the first rookie to win back-to-back MotoGP races. Marc Marquez all the way back in 2013. That's going to be a long shot at the very least for Aldeguez. He's going to complete lap 2 of 27 and down in 10th place.
And the Bagnaia drops away for the first lap in 15, so the indicator has now come up now. There you can see on your screen. Bezzecchi now in the next 5 laps has to serve his double long lap penalty. He's already got probably the riders outside the top 10 out of his window in the first long lap, so he can serve his third one now. He can still be in the top 10.
That's missile top speed of Espargaro's KTM RC16. Just saw him blitz Marini down the Gardner Straight on the factory on, and nothing Marini can do about that as Espargaro now climbs up into 7th place. There's a bit of a gap emerging here already, isn't there, between Bezzecchi, Fernandez and Acosta, which was your top 3 at the end of playing yesterday's sprint.
The dream scenario for Bez was to come out his first long lap into that gap, but that might be a little bit too much to ask for Bezzecchi because he doesn't have too much time to play with. So Miller 5th from Alex Marquez. Then it is the rocket KTM you referred to of Paul Espargaro ahead of Marini Digia and Aldeguez into the top 10.
How on earth is Paul Espargaro a part-time racer? Fastest TV pundit in the world, without any question. Is the Spanish rider, former Moto2 winner here. Just looking at inside line, keeps Marini and Gian Antonio at bay behind him.
The gap from Bezzecchi back to Raul Fernandez then at the moment is quarter of a second. Bagnaia just lost another place, by the way. So actually, this is all really turning into a rather familiar experience for Pecco Bagnaia as he starts to slip back through the order, but he's not exactly putting the same kind of distance we expected into the rest of the field. A 28.0.
Costa, brilliant. He's got the outside line there, using every single pony underneath him there. He had a big twitch on the front and the rear, both wheels sliding almost as he went through the Durham corner. That's what happens when you're on top of the fastest motorcycle in history. Got the great drive coming out of turn 12, and then you can start clicking through 4th, 5th and 6th gear. It was easy as you like to take second from Fernandez.
Surely this is exactly where Pedro Acosta would have dreamed of being at this stage of the race, because the rider ahead of him is going to take a long lap, well 2 long laps, to jump out of his way. So Pedro Acosta will surely soon inherit the lead of the Grand Prix, and we know how hard he is to pass.
Bagnaia after 2 laps already, almost 5 seconds adrift on Bezzecchi, stuck down in a very lonely 18th place. You've actually lost a whole chunk of time already on this lap 3. Bagnaia now 6.2 seconds adrift of Bez, who's just trying to build this lead, gain as big an advantage as he possibly can before he serves the first of those 2 long laps.
Look at this pack behind him, they're all battling top line of the top 10. This is where Bez is going to filter back in, then he's not going to be able to have clear tarmac ahead of him to try and maximise his pace between this and the second long lap penalty. 1.2 seconds is the advantage to Acosta. He's doing all he can, but he's certainly going to lose the lead when he comes through the loop.
And having built such a huge advantage, commanding lead already, how much is Bezzecchi taking out of that medium rear tyre? Again, he's in the 27. It's electrifying. It's dynamic pace this by Bez. A 127.865, but how much is he already overcooking that medium rear tyre to get himself into this position of authority before he sweeps into the long lap for the first time? We're going to have our comfy box window. We're going to pick up Bezzecchi very, very shortly through the Stoner corner. His advantage over Acosta is nigh on 1.3 seconds. Here then comes Bezzecchi. Acosta versus Fernandez behind him. This, well, no, he's not come in. Well, he's not come in.
He's got 5 laps. He's now gone through 3 times, so we now know he's made his strategy clear to the rest of the field. Sure, he's going to be coming through on the next 2 consecutive laps.
Yeah, do just wonder whether this real big early burst and this surgery he had to make, he had no choice. His hand was forced by the 2 long laps with the Marquez contact in Madeleine last time as Fernandez has got back through on Acosta. Now this is good news as far as Aprilia are concerned, isn't it? Fernandez immediately finds a way back through on fellow Spaniard Acosta. Now they drop down through into turn 10. This is where Bezzecchi made the big mistake, one of his few mistakes in yesterday's sprint.
Quartararo's now starting to get up to speed in 4th place. He did 28.4 on the last lap, which was quicker than the 2 immediately up ahead of him, and he's got a bit of breathing space back to Jack Miller. So far on this lap, actually, Bezzecchi's lost some of his advantage back to Raul Fernandez.
The only rider in the 27s on that previous lap was Bez. He's back in the 28s again. Raul Fernandez was faster. Raul Fernandez getting on with it, cracking the whip, busy on that track after Aprilia. 128 flat, a PB lap from Fernandez. Not a great lap for that from Acosta. He was a lot slower than Fernandez ahead of him and slower than Quartararo, Miller and Alex Marquez behind him.
One in the gravel Zarco straight to the gravel jet. That'll be a fast old crash at Durham corner. So coming through Stoner corner now, bit of a head shake there for Bez, just to show how hard he's pushing. Surely now he's going to go straight on into the long lap penalty. Here he comes. Raul Fernandez then takes the lead of the Australian Grand Prix. Acosta will also go through to 2nd place. Where is he relative to Quartararo? He's just ahead of him.
Bezzecchi then slots back in ahead of Fabio Quartararo. Now they go through to Siberia, turn 6. So minimising the damage is Bezzecchi after his great start leading on that first lap. This is going to be a big old get-off for Zarco. He's well wide. So wide. He stays committed, doesn't he, there? And that front, just look at the big dark line he leaves from that Michelin rear tyre. Ooh, that's a scary one for Zarco. Let go of it, Showan, let go of it. He finally does. Bites the dust, so there is going to be some flag-to-flag drama. Johan Zarco's not going to be involved in it. That's a nasty old get-off. So then here we go. Jack Miller's gone down. Jack Miller has crashed out of podium contention here in his home Grand Prix, having raised the roof to get himself on the front row here yesterday and fight for the podium in the sprint. Oh, Miller, that went in a flash. That was almost like a rain crash, wasn't it? Miller, that front end washed out from the Miller before he can do anything about it. Oh, Bezzecchi, big head shake on the front there as he attacks into the Durham corner.
He still did a 129.9, even with the long lap vacancy. Lost 1.7 seconds to Raul Fernandez. That's why he's been practicing that all weekend. He accepted a fast long lap penalty, so if he loses another 2 3/4 to 2 seconds, he's going to drop back somewhere near to Gian Antonio and Paul Espargaro.
And Miller's exit is doing a big favour here for Bezzecchi, because there's one rider in this league group that's taken out of the equation as far as Ben is concerned. He would have had to fought his way back through shortly after the second long lap on Quartararo, Alex Marquez and Miller. Miller though down on that last lap going into Siberia. Paolo Venora and Massimo Riva looking on from the Aprilia pit board, just making sure that they know exactly when it'll be the optimal time for him to come in for the second long lap.
But like Venora was saying, once more and then he'll come in, so we'll see maybe through there on the next lap, but not going to be in the lead of the Grand Prix when he takes his second long lap, that is for sure. So Ralph Fernandez leads from Pedro Acosta. Neither have won the MotoGP Grand Prix. Fabio Quartararo will shortly soon take third place, because he hasn't won for 3.5 years.
Yeah, and Acosta won this when he was really miffed. He might not have looked it, but he was inside, having seen the close, or former close pal Fermin Aldeguer beat him to the top step of the podium in MotoGP last time out in Mandalay. You can just look at the drive, the quality of the Aprilia, carries control. That's where the Aprilia really does excel and come into its own on those high-speed sections through Stoner Corner Turn 3, through 7, 8, 9, and then 11 and 12. And a head shake there from Quartararo's Yamaha M1 on that high-speed change of direction. The attack now towards the southern loop. He's doing a sterling job here, Quartararo, keeping that high-speed Ducati GP24 in the hands of Alex Marquez behind him.
Still matching Bezzecchi last time on the last lap, so will Bez come straight on this time? He's over to the right-hand side of the picture. Here he comes into the long lap penalty loop. So through goes Quartararo, through goes Alex Marquez, through goes to Gian Antonio, and Bezzecchi then rejoins behind Tissot in 6th place.
Now that is a big problem. Now he has got a big task on his hands, because there's immediate competition ahead of him on 2 Ducatis, which are going to be pretty tough to beat, certainly down that long Gardner straight, 900 metres in length. Not very often you're going to see an Aprilia out-drag a Ducati down that start pretty straight. So Bezzecchi, he's got so much time on his side. There's still, what, 20 laps remaining here in Phillip Island, as he slots them now back into 6th place.
So he's roughly 2.5 seconds. We actually see now on the left-hand side, he's reaching 2.8 seconds off the Prix lead. That will not be easy to chase back down, and of course he's got 5 riders up ahead of him to overtake. Behind him is the battle here for 7th place. Paul Espargaro versus Luca Brini. Victor 9 from Fermin Aldeguer and 10th. We're not seeing any sign of coming forward progress from yet.
Well, that's the easy right in there for Alex Marquez. Blitzing by Quartararo's factory Yamaha. He's almost stripping the paintwork off the side of that M1. No competition in terms of top speed there between Alex and Quartararo. All bother brewing here as well for Quartararo, and this another Fabio that hones in onto his rear tyre. Then you can just see coming through the shot out of the southern loop with the 72 bike of Bezzecchi. 6th place to the 129.9 on that last lap, which was exactly 2 seconds slower than Tissot, who's now ahead of him on the road.
Well, Ralph Fernandez is sniffing the opportunity here, of course. Now Bezzecchi out of the way, 2 penalties served, stuck in traffic. Cash in, make hay while the sun is not exactly shining here in Phillip Island. Ralph Fernandez's lead is already in excess of a second over Acosta.
When you look at the last time we had successive victories from Ruka, for first time winners in MotoGP back-to-back as Gian Antonio. What a move that is. What? You need some confidence to put a move on Quartararo. Going through turn 8, confidence which Tissot had in abundance. And now to Gian Antonio from 10th on the grid, drops down into...
Shoulders down.
That second gets clear through Quartararo very quickly. Alex and Gian Antonio got the pace, dragging back into contention, trying to come a long way back in. Not close enough though, is he, to attack Quartararo into the newer corner.
That is the problem that Massimo Riva spoke about with Jack on the grid. It's not the long laps themselves, it's the track you need into. He's doing 28.3s now, Bezzecchi. He's 4/10 a lap slower than Ralph Fernandez, the leader.
Yeah, at the moment, Fernandez looks like he's having a Sunday stroll in the Aussie sunshine. Not quite so sunny as it was yesterday in the sprint, but at the moment, Ralph Fernandez is looking absolutely supreme at the front of this Grand Prix. Into Miller corner we go. On board with Bezzecchi. Still not able to find a way through on Quartararo. Will he try and lunge through going through turn 7 and 8, just as Gian Antonio did on the previous lap. He's lining this up, surely it's going to be coming, no, he's not close enough. Just shows how good that move was by Tissot on that previous lap, using a bit of the element of surprise to get through on Quartararo. At the front then, Fernandez is about to have a lead of over 1.5 seconds here over Acosta.
Some contrasting examples of how to deal with traffic from Ben in Indonesia. Of course, made a dreadful start in the sprint, still came through to win on the final lap. Had another poor start in the Grand Prix and ran into Marc Marquez almost immediately. So he needs to be patient, but if he wants to win the Grand Prix, has got an awful lot of time to play with.
Fernandez is 27, so we'll have to pose the question of if to stay in this kind of speed, how much is he taking out? There's people mentioning rubber underneath him as Ayagura takes 15th place, final points place away from Bagnaia. Bagnaia's actually just on a 128.277, his best lap of the Grand Prix, which is quicker than Acosta in second, quicker than Quartararo in fifth, and faster than Marco Bezzecchi in sixth place. I mean, Bagnaia's pace, just like he was in Mandalika and in yesterday's sprint, it's like a yo-yo.
So difficult to understand it. He doesn't understand it. Kashi don't understand it. I don't know what chance we've got, but he is now back into the points at the expense of Ayagura. Raul Fernandez then leads by 1.5 seconds over Acosta, by 2.6 seconds over Alex Marquez, 2.9 over Fabio Di Gianantonio. Digia and Bez perhaps need threats further down the field, but can they clear all this traffic?
The second's got to clear Quartararo very, very soon. Perfect time to ride on board with the Italian once again. Quartararo on this occasion. Whether Quartararo might have made a little mistake on the exit of Siberia that allowed Gian Antonio to power on through, because Bezzecchi now has been stuck behind the Frenchman for a good 3 or 4 laps and has not been able to make any kind of movement. Felipe Marini's getting dragged back into this battle as well. Marini just said his personal that somebody's crashed out. We've got somebody crashing out here, I think. I think it might be Mir who's plummeting down the order, so it's going to be another DNF to the increasing tally for Mir. It's going to be a 12th DNF of the season. Alex Marquez, quickest rider on circuit, 127.782. Fair play to your race leader Fernandez though, as that second finally has made his way through Quartararo. Fernandez still in the 27th.
So Alex Marquez is 2.4 seconds off the... That scored Bagnaia by 20 points and Benz by 12. If he can somehow get him to the lead of the race, he would achieve that.
12 DNFs in 19 Grand Prix in 2025 for Joan Mir. He is right at the top of that crash count this season, with Joan Zarco, who's also gone down the road. At the complete opposite end of the scale is Marini, who missed a couple of Grand Prix after his Super 8-hour testing crash. But on the number 10 flag, I hope it's not the ultimate commentator's curse. Well, Zarco and Mir have been jumping off the RC213V with a rather alarming regularity. Luca Marini still to take a tumble off his factory Honda so far in 2025 at the moment. He's applying the pressure on a fast-fading Quartararo here.
Alex Marquez took that fastest lap. He's had a scruffy lap on this one. He started the lap 3/4 of a second behind Acosta. He's now over 1 second. So the fastest lap followed by a poor one for Alex Marquez. He's now reversing back towards Fabio Di Gianantonio once again. At the stand side, see Jack Miller out of his home Grand Prix before he beat up the Aussie fans proudly again. As Marini now just eases past Fabio Quartararo, who has nothing by way of defence.
Made it from pole to 7th in the sprint yesterday. That was because of an errant front tyre choice by Quartararo. As Aldeguer just tried to squeeze through at the southern loop on Paul Espargaro, who's riding out of his skin once again, isn't he? The KTM replacement rider. So Marini now up into 6th place. Quartararo from pole to 7th on Sunday, just as he did on the Saturday sprint. He's going the wrong way once again, Quartararo.
The battle between Aldeguer and Espargaro continues. Fermi trying to go around the outside. Very different ends of the experience spectrum, aren't they? Espargaro and Aldeguer. But Acosta's now upping his pace. He's now in the 127th on the last lap as he cut Raul Fernandez's lead to a 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, you just wonder that's Acosta in those first 9-10 laps of the race, just being a little bit conservative, not throwing too much caution to the wind, getting done back in those 27s. He might have just been thinking, well, Raul Fernandez, if he carries on bolting at that pace, there's no way, not a chance that that rear tyre's going to hold out underneath him. Well, we'll find out, won't we, in the second half of this Grand Prix. But encouraging as far as Acosta is concerned, on the previous lap, the only rider in those 27s.
Let's see what the lap times are as they come round this time then. Fernandez, the lead in the first sector, was just under a second and a half. Alex Marquez rebounding this time and closing in. Acosta again in the 27th, as was Alex Marquez. Ralph Fernandez, though, still holding 28 flat, just keeping them at arm's length. Quattararo is unable to do anything about the riders, just queuing up behind him. Thomas Barbaro now goes through, and Aldeguer surely is going to follow through momentarily.
Sitting ducks right now, unfortunately, is Fabio Quattararo. This has not gone to plan A at all, has it, as far as the factory Yamaha style is concerned. Clinging on at the moment, Quattararo, having started from pole position, he's going to have it all on to keep himself inside the top 10, because as you can see just behind him, Quattararo running 8 to 9. Well, not too far behind him are Binder on the 33 KTM, Alex Rins and Enea Bastianini also coming into contention. The Beast, he's a real conundrum, isn't he? What an enigma Enea is. A 128.015 on that last lap, his fastest lap of the Grand Prix. I've been working his way through from 20th up to 12th, and he's got podium pace as the back, the Beast.
Every day Sunday, and he'll be absolutely fine because he seems to have great race pace, just nothing in practice nor in qualifying. We've seen nothing really by way of a counter-attack from Bezzecchi since the second long lap penalty. He can only at the moment go as fast as leader Ralph Fernandez, and he's now over 4 seconds off the lead at half distance. Is that just too big a break for Marco Bezzecchi to climb?
There was instant regret when he had that collision with Marc Marquez, injuring the reigning world champion. And he always felt like that regret was going to carry on into this Australian Grand Prix with the double long lap penalty hanging over his head. And it does look like that's going to curtail Bezzecchi's Survey Dream double win here. Binder then has got his way through on Quattararo. Quattararo surely very, very quickly is going to surrender his place inside the top 10. Just a passenger at the moment on top of that factory Yamaha, being reeled in quickly now by both Bastianini and his teammate Rins.
He's down to 29. Quattararo, although it's better to him. Watching riders Prix past him on the main straight every time he comes out of turn 12. Surely the next KTM of Bastianini is going to do the same, and then all 4 KTMs will be ahead of Quattararo, so we won't see any more of them motor past.
Quick Bagnolet check, who's just done his personal best lap of the Grand Prix once again. Another 128.2 from the double world champion as Aldeguer finally picks his way through on Policho, and that's been a pretty tough ask for the Mandalika winner. At the moment he finds himself down in 7th place. Davide Brivio looking on. Well, he was a race-winning team manager for Yamaha, he was a race-winning team manager for Suzuki. Is he about to be a race-winning team manager for Aprilia, a Trackhouse closed in? Well, talk about rocking the house at the moment. Ralph Fernandez, this would be some story, some success, wouldn't it? Fernandez is able to get the job done from here.
At the moment, showing no signs of dropping off. 128.012. The Trackhouse team will be nervously looking at his lap times every time he comes round. Seems any sign of any sort of drop off. Bezzecchi now just done his personal best on a 27.8, but that at the moment is not enough to overcome the penalty of the 2 long laps.
Costa certainly can't relax in that excellent second place. Once again, he really is the only rider that can take the fight to the front of MotoGP right now on that factory KTM, isn't he? But he's got some serious trouble behind him as Alex closes in now on the brakes into the middle corner. He goes so defensive once again, doesn't he? Pedro Acosta, they need to put a wide load stick on the back of that KTM because he's so darn hard to overtake. He's a brilliant blocker, isn't he, at the moment, Acosta? This is not going to be an easy ride for Alex to take second.
Well, it's Alex who was one of those queuing up behind him in Indonesia, and at 1 point did get past him, only to lose that second place back again. Pedro Acosta at the moment, though, don't know how he'll feel about this, because as it stands, once again, he's going to take a brave second place and watch a fellow Spaniard take his first MotoGP victory before he does.
Yeah, and now Fernandez has built that lead to over 2 seconds for the first time in this Grand Prix. We're looking at Ralph Fernandez and wondering if there's going to be a collapse late on like came the way of Jorge Martin a couple of years ago. That was when Martin took a real left field gamble, putting the soft mix in rear tyre on his Pramac Ducati at the time. You know, Fernandez, it's a level playing field really in terms of the tyre choice at the front of this Grand Prix. As Alex Marquez goes side by side against Pedro Acosta, this is going to be a game from there on the race into the third corner. Acosta just leaving it that fraction later. To be fair, he did have the inside line there, so there's very little having put himself on the outside of Acosta. Alex can do in terms of making a move on the inside going into the third corner. Yeah, Grazzini racing look on. Calma, tranquilo, Alex.
Well, this is You're also playing even further into the hands of Ralph Fernandez, isn't it? And for Fabio Di Gianantonio too, behind him in fourth place. Across the wide, through Stoner corner, he's on the inside line, he's going to really lunge at Alex Marquez from there, but Alex is able to sweep across the front tyre of Acosta, and he's now clear into second place and launches a tear up in the move to Acosta in the process.
You can see just behind this battle for second and third, Gianantonio is certainly not out of it at all. On that last lap, he was 4/10 faster than Acosta in that now third place. Still stuck in those low 128s is Bezzecchi. You always felt there was potentially going to be him ruining that double long lap. So many people thought he could still overcome it, but just has not been the case, as is Acosta running wide, going through Stoner corner. So you've already taken the best out of those Michelin tyres underneath him, and that's allowed Alex into second.
As it stands, he would gain 9 points on Marco Bezzecchi and 17 on Bagnaia, so that would not be quite enough to secure second in the championship today. Bezzecchi would go ahead of Bagnaia into third overall. We put the flag out now. Bezzecchi doing 21, matching Gianantonio, and Acosta in danger of plummeting out of the podium battle now.
Yeah, Acosta's suffering at the moment. He's almost back in the 129s for the first time in this Grand Prix. I mean, a quick look at the timing screen. Acosta, the only rider slower that's already clicked through the timing screen is Lorenzo Savadori on the factory of Prix racing Jorge Martin. So it could be a real tough last 11 laps here as far as Acosta is concerned.
The battle between MotoGP World Champions for 12th place soon, because Quartararo is now behind his fellow Yamaha teammate Prix, and it's reversing back towards Bagnaia. So Quartararo just not doing enough saving, arguing on some of the problems with that Yamaha, because he's falling quickly back down the field.
Painful experiences for Quartararo. Opposition to a frustrating 7th in the sprint yesterday. He blamed that on the incorrect front tyre choice. Went for the hard front today, thinking that was going to be the option that would carry him potentially to a rare podium, but it has just not worked out at all. I mean, look at that now in P12 is Quartararo. That's why, well, 13th will probably be about as worse as it gets, because he's about 3 seconds clear of Morbidelli, who's currently in 14th at the moment. This has not gone to sprint at all, has it, for Fabio Quartararo from the front of the grid.
So on this lap, Alex Marquez with clear tarmac ahead of him. He's chipping away a little bit on Ralph Fernandez. His pace is down to 23. So Alex Marquez only done the 28.2, so he barely took any time out of him at all on that last lap. So Ralph Fernandez has got 2.8 seconds to play with in the final 10 laps. So you can do the math, he can lose just under 3/10 of the lap from there to take a first MotoGP victory. We said it was an opportunity for just about everybody coming into this Australian Grand Prix weekend. Is it Ralph Fernandez who's going to grasp that opportunity?
Second the fastest rider on circuit, but this is surely all too little too late as far as the sprint winner is concerned. Here is Digit then now piling the pressure once again on Acosta. Acosta is going to have to perform defensive heroics just as he did last time out in Mandalika in the years succeeding on to the rostrum here in Phillip Island. Just as you can see a bit of a dot on the screens coming out of Siberia was Luca Marini on the factory Honda, looking well set for another top 6, although Aldeguet has just put in his PB lap of the Grand Prix, 128.090 from the Mandalika winner. So he's got ample time potentially here to get back on par with Marini's Honda.
Gianantonio has such a proud record here around Phillip Island. Podium really did change his career back in 2023. A strong fourth, which was an equal best of the season last year. Can he take a second Phillip Island podium out of the last 3? He, like most, absolutely adores the Phillip Island circuit, and it's only Pedro Acosta at the moment that stands between himself and a podium, and it's Acosta's resistance about to be finally broken. No, that KTM strong enough on the run down to Newham corner.
Combo of the top speed of the KTM and some brilliant braking there by Acosta into the Newham corner is keeping him in that P3 place. 2.9 seconds, or 3 seconds over the line was Fernandez's advantage over Alex Marquez. You can see Fernandez clearing through our picture as the attack's now hard through Stoner corner, on the brakes now into the Miller corner. So many people thinking that Ralph Fernandez is pretty fortunate to still be on this MotoGP grid, flattering to deceive so many years, struggling to unleash his full potential, which we know he's had after that stellar campaign fighting for Remy Gardner, the MotoGP World Champion back in 2021. Never really worked out for him at KTM. He's had his struggles on a vastly improving Aprilia Ralph Fernandez now is, what, 8.5 laps away from what would be a big shock victory. Gian Antonio might be one corner away from the podium here in Phillip. He certainly is on the inside of Acosta. He goes down the hill into the first gear, turn 10. Acosta's edge resistance has been futile. He's been pushed off the podium now, back into P4.
Gian Antonio gets the final corner right though, because unusually, Birmingham again for the yesterday, the Ducatis are actually being beaten down the straight by KTM's and Hondas. So is Pedro Acosta now just going to whistle straight back past India on the run up to turn 1. Look at the 37, pulling up alongside him. 3 lap time for Pedro Acosta, and he takes third place back again.
He's going to get that stopped if he does. That is some effort. That is some effort by Acosta. Fair play. Yeah, he's just running a little bit hot going into the Dura corner. That just put him on that slightly wrong line for that run down to the southern loop, and that's allowed Gian Antonio to come back through, keeping a watching brief. In 5th place still is Marco Bezzecchi, 2.8 seconds. Still the very comfortable advantage that Ralph Fernandez has over Alex as Acosta tries to slow his front wheel going into turn 4 further down the field. Fargo has just been knocked out of the top 10 by Alex Rins.
Now, they're still having their battle behind him. 7th place, the Alligators got the pace to potentially chase off after this podium battle. We're just clear that Honda. He did a 28.2 last time around. Quicker than Bezzecchi, quicker than Acosta, and quicker than Giccia. But he, like Marco Bezzecchi, we now see on our screens, seeing way too much traffic for his liking today.
Well, and Aprilia won the sprint, and most likely without the 2 long laps of Aprilia in Marco Bezzecchi's hands, was certainly going to be a big favourite to win this Australian Grand Prix, but it's another Aprilia. The underdog in many respects. Ralph Fernandez, who surely is going to take the spoils here, unless he has his rear tyre falling off a cliff, like Martin did a couple of years ago. Bezzecchi then now, still in that 5th place, trying to pick up some slipstream, some draft behind Acosta's KTM. He's not been close enough though to attack the Spaniard into the Dura corner.
It's just astronomical Ralph Fernandez in the front. He's still doing low, 128. There's been next to no drop off at all yet, and we stress yet, for Ralph Fernandez. Now the drop was expected to come on the softer time, in fairness, but they say the final 4 or 5 laps is when you're in that danger zone, when it could fall off a cliff. Just ask Jorge Martin.
Well, for the first time in 58 sprints yesterday, no Ducati featured in the top 3. Doesn't look like Ducati are going to have a continuation in what's been a rather bang average weekend as far as the manufacturer is concerned. At the moment, no risk of them missing out on a Grand Prix podium for the first time in over 4 years, as Alex Marquez and Gian Antonio look relatively safe and secure in P2 and 3 right now. He's still doing low 128. It's been absolutely brilliant this. This has been sort of a Jorge Lorenzo style performance, hasn't it, by Ralph Fernandez. This is his 76th MotoGP start. He has never had a Sunday podium, just a 2 sprint podiums, and those 2 have come in the last fortnight. Where has this Ralph Fernandez been throughout the last 3 or 4 years? Great to see though, him finally shining and delivering on all the promise and potential that we knew was there.
Well, we are delighted to welcome the real fan Ralph Fernandez to MotoGP. Finally, if this is indeed what we're seeing, Pedro Acosta is about to see some more pain, I think, here. Bezzecchi though, look how brave, look how bold. Pedro Acosta is on the brakes. Was he too bold? No, he just about get it. Stopped down into Dura corner, and this is going to add to the frustration of Marco Bezzecchi, who knew from Thursday just how difficult his life was going to be today, and his fears have been realised.
He does not know what he's been to the Acosta. He's the ultimate prize fighter. You want him in your corner, but shoot Pedro Acosta. What another brilliant performance to produce here. Ralph Fernandez, as you can see, long gone up the road. He's on lap 22 of 27. How much longer can Acosta resist this onslaught coming from Bezzecchi? Alex Marquez, 2.9 seconds. It's never really got down under 2.8 seconds, the gap between Fernandez and Alex. Bezzecchi goes on the inside of Acosta through turn 8. That was a real class move, that by Bez. So that might be as good as it gets as far as the sprint winner is concerned here. He does finally pick off Acosta to take P4.
That's probably as bad as it's going to get for Pedro Acosta unless he has some serious tyre drop late on. Acosta does have an advantage of 2 seconds over Minggu Marini. Firming out against pace, and he drops off in the last lap and a half. He's doing 29 now in 7th place. He's potentially going to revert back towards the KTM battle between the Fast Union and Phillip. We were just watching them out of the window a moment ago. They were really knocking spots from each other into the corner.
Further down, keeping a close eye on the Quattararo and Bagnaia scrap for the bottom end of the point scoring places. Gian Antonio, who's got great late race pace, he's proven it over the last couple of years or so. That Bagnaia has finally got through on Fabio Quattararo. So Pecco Bagnaia at least is salvaging some points, perhaps more significantly some pride and some confidence and feeling in the front end of that Ducati GP25, because he's still doing high 128s, he's been perfectly respectable paces as far as Bagnaia is concerned.
Might not get to the top 10 yet, Bagnaia, but he's doing high 28s. The packet headers are all doing 29, so there is still some points on the table here for Bagnaia, and if he wants to finish in the top 3 of the World Championship, he might need any points he can get.
Just taking second, I was going to say he's taking second on this lap, he takes it immediately. He made that brilliant move there, didn't he, early on in this Grand Prix, through on Fabio Quattararo. And did you love that attack going through that turn 8, doesn't it? That's an absolute class maneuver, that by Gian Antonio. Is it all a little bit too late though as far as the victory hopes are concerned? We'll check the gap between Fernandez and the Gian Antonio when they cross the line. There'll be what, 4 laps remaining very, very shortly. But having cleared now Alex, twitch there for Alex. You can see that he's running into some late grip problems, isn't he, on that Ducati GP24. What can you do about a 3.1 second deficit to Ralph Fernandez? Can't see him recovering that in just 4 laps.
Big black line on the rear tyre. Ralph Fernandez is telling his team, calm down, don't worry, I've got this. Or is he just stretching his fingers out? He's just trying to fight off any kind of nerves that Ralph Fernandez must be dealing with, because there must be so much on his mind right now. Of course, in Moto2, he was so comfortable, so supreme when he led the Grand Prix. This is his first opportunity to demonstrate those talents in MotoGP, and he is certainly doing that.
You can understand why perhaps as he closed in on the biggest achievement, the biggest day of his Grand Prix career, he's perhaps getting a little bit tight, a little bit tense. It's so difficult to muscle a 300 horsepower MotoGP bike around this super fast Phillip Island circuit, particularly when there's some gusting breeze around as well. Really physically challenging without the wind to contend with. So that may be just giving that left arm a little bit of a breather from Ralph Fernandez.
Someone down at Siberia, obviously distance. It might be Pecco Bagnaia with 4 laps to go. He was salvaging some pride from this Grand Prix, but he crashes with 4 laps to go.
Well, things do just keep going from bad to worse, don't they, as far as Bagnaia is concerned. Never settled in a million years, but he flicked it left into Siberia. He had just fought his way back through on Quattararo. Was the wind a factor? Was the fading grip? Was a little bit of temperature dropping out of the front tyre, that crucial late stage? But once again, it's a forlorn Pecco Bagnaia walking away from the scene of another crash. There's been far too many of them on the front end so far in 2025. Ralph Fernandez then. What a moment, what a day, beckoning for him. Alex just looks like he might be dropping back into the clutches of Bez here. Bez, this still might be on for a podium rescue after his 2 long laps.
Doing 28 zeros in 4th place. No one else is doing anything better than a 28.5 out there. That's Gian Antonio. He's breaking clear of Alex Marquez now, so there's definitely a podium. Essentially second place, he can clear Alex Marquez quickly. Gian Antonio not taking much time out of Ralph Fernandez on the left hand. It was 3/10 of a second. That's not going to worry Trackhouse at this stage.
Yeah, Diggy's going to give himself a right bash around the head, isn't he, after a poor qualifying. There's no doubt about it. If anybody had the speed, if anybody had the pace to take the fight to the Aprilia here this weekend, it was Gian Antonio. But boy, is he paying so dearly for that 10th place on the grid. Fought his way through to 5th in the sprint, just over a 10th off the podium behind Pedro Acosta and Miller. He is going to be on the podium here this afternoon, it looks like, for Gian Antonio, but could it have been better? He certainly had the pace to go with Ralph Fernandez, but just far too much to do coming from row 4.
2 more laps to go. And of course, Trackhouse are on the verge of something quite special too here in the remaining lap and a half. Of course, they, very new to MotoGP, looking to try and put the stars and stripes back on top in MotoGP. They are a lap and a half away from achieving with a rider who they have put so much faith in over the last year or so. Faith that not everyone felt was well placed. They are being rewarded for that faith today.
Roberts, I guess, probably the last time an American team was victorious in MotoGP. What a moment this is for Justin Marks and all of his connections. There's a massive time split between Australia and the US, but I'm sure they're all glued to their screens right now for a moment of history. Of course, they are serial winners on four-wheel motorsport over in America, but this is the reason why they decide to take the plunge and come in and try and repeat that success on two wheels. And at the moment, Ralph Fernandez is getting the job done. Bezzecchi, he's coming down the hill into turn 10. There's nothing that Alex can do about that. Marco Bezzecchi then does indeed dive to the inside of Alex Marquez to take the final place on the podium. This has been some salvage mission by Bez.
Don't want to worry, Trackhouse, for Ralph Fernandez to lead has plotted on this penultimate lap. Here he comes to start the final lap. What's his advantage? Ralph Fernandez does a 1:29.187. He's got 1.8 seconds over to Gian Antonio, who took 8 tenths out of him on the last lap. Here's Ralph Fernandez just managing this. He's got just over 4.5 miles to go.
They've got no fingernails left right now in Trackhouse, have they? They'll be looking at those timing screens and thinking, is he just managing this beautifully to the checkered flag? Marco Bezzecchi is going to be taking third place in the World Championship away, isn't he, from Pecco Bagnaia at the moment. Another real poor day at the office, a poor weekend as far as Bagnaia is concerned, surrendering third in the standings as well. Down to 1.6 seconds in the gap between Fernandez and Tissot. Vote for your rider of the race. There's a few contenders. Surely your vote's going to be going to potentially our race winner here, Davide Brivio. He's been in this position so many times, hasn't he? With Yamaha, with Suzuki, now with a third manufacturer at Aprilia. Yeah, this is just in his hands now. 1.7 seconds clear. He is of Tissot.
And 3 more corners to go. Downhill into MG. He'll go left through 11 and left through 12. There are few better places than Phillip Island to take any MotoGP victory, but the first MotoGP victory always the most special, and Ralph Fernandez can reach out and touch it.
After Fermin Aldeguer took his first MotoGP success last time out in Manlica, we have another first-time winner in MotoGP, and it is the phenomenal Ralph Fernandez in Phillip Island, who wins the Australian Grand Prix for Trackhouse Aprilia. What a moment for Fernandez, what a moment for the American team as they take their first ever MotoGP victory. Gian Antonio fights his way through from 10th up into second place. Marco Bezzecchi with a late rally after 2 long laps does indeed rescue a podium in third. Alex Marquez is fourth. Acosta fifth over line. Marini back inside the top 6. Top 10 to Macchini and Paul Espargaro. Points for Quattro, Oliveira, Agura, Aldeguer and Morbidelli. But Raul Fernandez in back-to-back races then in 2025, we have first-time winners. Brilliant for the Aprilia rider. What a weekend it has been for the Nawali factory. Ralph Fernandez to Marco Bezzecchi, top 2 on Friday, top 2 in the sprint on Saturday, and now first and third here in that Grand Prix. Just about going to start to sink in, isn't it? As far as Ralph Fernandez is concerned, he's had some fierce criticism for underperforming for so much of his MotoGP career. It's taken him until start number 76 to score a podium, let alone a victory in MotoGP. But here he is then now, our newest MotoGP victor, and he did it in dominant style. Ralph Fernandez, take a bow here in Phillip Island.
When he moved up to MotoGP in 2022, he was picked as an incredible talent. He matched the streaks of Mark Marquez's Moto2 records as a rookie in that class, and that is not achieved easily. But in MotoGP, it has been a bit of a rocky road to this point. Davide Brivio, who can spot the talent, he brought Juan Mir into MotoGP, and on the way to MotoGP title glory, placed his faith in Raul Fernandez, and Raul Fernandez can now turn around to all of his critics and put the finger to his lips and say, I am a MotoGP winner.
Marco Bezzecchi.
Raul Fernandez, and Raul Fernandez can now turn around to all of his critics and put the finger to his lips and say, I am a MotoGP winner. winner.
Marco Bezzecchi, what a rally, what a performance by Bez. Just as he was in the sprint yesterday, 2 Aprilis. And under the strength of Fully Retro here this weekend, of course, with no Jorge Martin. Ralph Fernandez then, prevails here in Phillip Island, becoming the 38th winner in the modern MotoGP 4-stroke era, the 124th winner in Premier Class history, our 7th different winner of 2025. And what a moment this will be. I'm sure he's going to be incredibly emotional. Ralph Fernandez, Trackhouse and Aprilia have stood by their man, and they have been given the biggest prize. This is going to be super special, isn't it, for all of the connections to Trackhouse.
Got the 5th different winner in the last 5 Grand Prix. Marc Marquez in Hungary, Alex in Barcelona. Of course, we saw Rama in Misano. Pecco Bagnaia, of course, taking the victory in Japan. Indonesia went the way of Fermin Aldeguer. And Ralph Fernandez victorious today. And it's his brother Adrian is sure to be part of the celebration. That's the Leopard team, of course.
Ralph Fernandez then embraces his Trackhouse team. Absolutely, what a day to remember that 4th Spanish one. Let's go and hear the Sport Sunderboss, Davide Brivio with Jack.
Oh, Davide, so many people for so long wanted to write off Raul, but you guys continued to believe in him. He's now a MotoGP race winner.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it. He did great today. He rode leading the race. Of course, he's an expert rider, but he has done it already. What to say? He couldn't be better, today. So, all congratulations to Raul. Congratulations, thank you.
Dreams do come true. Never doubt yourself. Keep pushing yourself. Keep making all the sacrifices. Block out some of the criticism, because better days are always around the corner, and none better than today as far as Raul Fernandez is concerned. First time we have 2 Aprilis on a Grand Prix podium since the 2023 Catalan Grand Prix. What a day that was, as the latest Spyro led home Maverick Vinales. But the tail of the tape is slightly different. Without Marco Bezzecchi's 2 long laps, well, that's all this, but Swanson maybe. Let's take nothing away from our Australian Grand Prix winner in 2025, the fantastic Ralph Fernandez.
Yeah, well, it's all that penalty, and all Ralph Fernandez's fault there. Marco Bezzecchi's, who did a great job in fairness to him to make up for that, taking a podium in the end. Another lap or 2 might have been second. It's 4th for Alex Marquez, who will have to wait probably another 6 days to secure 2nd place in the championship. Marco Bezzecchi keeps that going on at least another week, but we can now surely say that the Marquez brotherly 1-2 is just one more race away from being completed.
On the side there, Pecco Bagnaia.
querido querida. penalty, so super happy. I didn't imagine to catch a podium with a penalty, so very happy. I'm super grateful to my team, to all Aprilia Factory, also the Riders Academy, Vale, and all the staff, because they are always close to me, and now it's time to recover a bit physically for Malaysia. Great job, well done. Thank you.
Yeah, more time to recover, not too much time to recover for Bez before he's back on track in Malaysia in just 5 days' time. But that's another brilliant performance, isn't it? And by the Italian, that is his 40th career podium finish, his 16th MotoGP World Championship, and that actually now does we just listen to Bellissimo and Grandissimo, the congratulations to Marco Bezzecchi's brilliant late charge, and make that Bez's podium finish of the season, which is now a new record from an Aprilia rider. No Aprilia rider has ever taken that amount of podiums in a MotoGP campaign. It just shows the outstanding job that Bez has been doing, certainly over the last few Grand Prix. His last 8 finishes, all top 5s. Fabio De Gianantonio's love affair though with Phillip Island continues. An excellent second for the Ducati star, and he's with Jack.
Well, Fabio, it's been a roller coaster, up and down season, but once again you come to Phillip Island and magic happens. You must love this place.
This race is amazing. Apart from racing, it's a fantastic island, so whenever we come here, it's just a magical weekend. Then yeah, for sure when you do races like this, it's even more sweet. You know, it's been a great race. Definitely maybe the biggest bittersweet of my career, because we had the potential, we just ruined the opportunity to win for the qualifying, but apart from this, racing today was amazing, did a lot of overtakes, great pace. I was trying to catch over, but it was really far. So happy, for me, for the team. We keep going, we never give up. Even if a roller coaster season, we always try to keep up.
Super ride, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, cracking ride that once again in front of the Australian fans for Fabio De Gianantonio. Just his 3rd Grand Prix podium of the season. His last, of course, was a special one as well, in front of his home crowd in Mugello. Never an easy proposition to find your way through on Pedro Acosta, but he's fighting for the top 3 on a KTM. Whether he does it, maybe it's a bit of a lucky charm, isn't he, Chris Hemsworth? Pay for a flight for a star of Thor too, maybe. That comes to the Japan Grand Prix next weekend. We're going to hear from, I'm sure, a very emotional Ralph Fernandez, a first-time MotoGP winner. What a place to do as well, right here in Phillip Island. Your MotoGP winner then in the Australian Grand Prix of 2025, a first-time winner, Ralph Fernandez with Jack.
Raul, what a journey it's been for you in MotoGP. Doubted by so many, but you've silenced the critics today. You are a MotoGP race winner. How good does that sound?
I cannot believe it. So sorry, but I cannot believe it. I think after a long time, we found something. All the team always believed me. They never stopped to support me. So it is the consequence of hard work. So thanks to them. Of course, we make a really good pace. I try to manage until the end. We know that in this kind of track, you need to manage very well the rear tire, and I try to make, because at the end we know that it was very difficult to manage, and it is what I did. Just especially the last 5 laps was super long race for me. So, but anyway, thanks to my team, thanks to my family, they always support me. So thanks to them.
Huge congratulations.
Thank you.
Those last 5 laps probably felt like 5 years for Ralph Fernandez, but he has finally done it. This is that special moment which you can never take away from him, winning a MotoGP race for the very first time on one of our most iconic and classic venues. Against Crucible on the left there, Noe Herrera, Davide Bruvio there, offering a round of applause as Trackhouse are MotoGP winners for the very first time. Valencia, all the way back in 2021 in Moto2 was the last time Ralph Fernandez would have heard the Spanish national anthem after a victory for the Spanish rider. 11th win of his career, but this, the biggest of them all, his first in MotoGP, first for Trackhouse. Just the 6th, 7th win in MotoGP for Aprilia. Marco Bezzecchi, Alessio Spargaro,
Maverick Vinales, previous winners for the Nuali factory. And now we can add Ralph Fernandez to that roster.
And if you're going to win the Grand Prix, that's how to win it. From the front, no one ever really put him under any kind of threat. As soon as Marco Bezzecchi had served his first long lap penalty, the path was clear for Ralph Fernandez to motor clear at the front of the race. What a result for Raul, what a result for Trackhouse, and you have to say, from Ralph Fernandez's point of view, that was no fluke, as he completes the clean sweep for every team now, as you can see, in MotoGP. They have all now won a MotoGP Grand Prix, with the newest team in MotoGP, Trackhouse, joining the rest. All 11 teams down MotoGP are Grand Prix winners.
There's going to be some party in the house later on as far as Trackhouse are concerned, isn't there? As we get set for the podium celebrations. It's been a pretty windy and wild day here in Phillip Island. So as always, we've been treated to some spectacular action. Go from the rather cool and chilly breeze of Phillip Island to bang the humidity once again. There are some Jack Miller fans who unfortunately didn't get to see the home hero play his fight for the podium after an early crash at Siberia when he was well locked inside that top six. We'll take a pause and listen to the thoughts of the top three.
Bravo Tio, può contare perché lo sai?
Grazie mille.
Te lo meriti.
Mi guardava che arrivavi te, arrivava.
Sto spingendo.
Ma sei sempre Dio alla fine si può te?
Perché curo bene le gomme, dall'inizio. Però dai
una partenza da Dio. Non ti ha partito bene oggi? Sì.
Ma l'anno scorso la 1. Cioè se andavi tipo un metro largo così, c'erano le buche?
No.
Non c'erano.
No, oppure meno. Sì, alla 1 sì.
Anche l'anno scorso?
Credo sì. Oh, alla 2 ti vento zero.
Tanto?
Chiudevo domani.
Ma secondo me a fine gara di più? No.
Eccomi qua.
Ma guarda che andiamo forte. Fa il podio con Drog Lap. Ma poi stamattina il vento non c'era praticamente.
Comunque se non giri col vento non è a girare a Phillip Island. Cioè
sì.
venerdì e sabato non era.
No, vento e gabbiani nella moto. Ieri l'hai preso pieno, mi hai passato.
Poi sono arrivati i petti nel collo per 3 tiri. Sì. 2 giri alla fine, io qua.
C'era
Sto arrivando alla 10. Wow. E quanti secondi avevi? 3.
Io pensavo che mi rompire le scatole, anche te l'hai passato lì.
Ma io quando ti arrivavo a te, nel momento che ti prendevo passavi.
Ah, ok.
E allora vai, passo io, mi avvicinavo, passavi.
Ah, perché l'upgrade
Dopo
abbiamo
in
messo
realtà
qui.
qua io ho perso una costa per passarlo, ho perso un po' più tempo e te già eri andato. E io ho detto, posso fare quarti. Quando ho spinto per andare via costa ho visto che vi prendevo. Allora ho detto ok, cerchiamo di prenderli e vediamo.
Poverino Pecco.
Madonna, lì c'è il muro vicino comunque.
Abbiamo montato i specchietti sta gara per quello che ti staccavo un pezzo quando ti avvicinavi. L'update 26 quello lì. Bello. Prima vittoria, no? Prima avevo grandi.
Sì. Bravo. Podium dopo 3 anni, 4.
Ah sì?
Prima volta che ho visto.
No, però sprint le fatti?
Sì, sprint.
Gara lunga no?
Mai. Bella sta coppa.
Sì.
Figa.
Mamma mia, sono a pezzi
Oh, guarda
stamattina mi è salita la febbre, sono a pezzi.
Ci credo. Io sono a pezzi e non per la febbre.
Sì, potevi fare la
So our top three then have processed that dramatic Phillip Island Grand Prix here in Australia. And now it's time for the podium celebrations as we herald once again a first-time winner in MotoGP in 2025.
Ralph Fernandez, who takes his place on the podium. Trackhouse are winners in MotoGP. Marco Bezzecchi, superb ride, what a comeback for him. The 2 long laps were just too much. Davide Gian Antonio second for the final podium out of the last 3. The third of the season. When your star today, representing the stars and stripes of the United States and Trackhouse, he lets the emotion out. Raul Fernandez, a day that he thought may never come at times. when he was jettisoned from Tech 3 KTM in MotoGP. He found a new home at RNF, which of course then became Trackhouse under new American ownership, and he has shone today. Congratulations then to Davide Rubio. Trackhouse take their first MotoGP victory. Sent him to third in the World Championship too now, 8 points ahead of Pecco Bagnaia with 3 Grand Prix to go. He must have known before he came here that some penalty was coming his way, so to take a podium regardless is some effort. The chairman of the AGPC will present second place over to Fabio Di Gianantonio. He takes a round of applause from Thor himself. The superhero from a Trackhouse point of view today was Raul Fernandez. Doubted for so long, but doubted no more. Raul Fernandez, today is your day. A MotoGP winner at last.
Day for Trackhouse, a great day for Aprilia, and a monumental day for Raul Fernandez. As for the first time in his MotoGP career, 24-year-old Spaniard celebrates from the top step of the podium. Quite rightly so as well. Fans watching all around the world at home and voting Fernandez your rider of the race. Easy decision to see to make, I'm sure. They thoroughly and richly deserved accolade for Fernandez. Is he going to do the shoey on the Aussie podium? I think he is. Here we go. We're all going to go. We're going to get a triple shoey here. I think Di Gianantonio is certainly getting in on the axe. Marco Bezzecchi likewise. Well, I'm sure they'd have preferred Jack Miller to be part of these celebrations, but nevertheless the Australian fans once again showing their utmost respect for our top 3 here in Phillip Island. Ligia egging on the crowd as he takes a big call from Bezzecchi out of his father's sweaty boots. A bit more in there than that, Raul, come on. Loaded up, mate, come on, load it up. Yeah, first time in 2021 he's had that winning feeling. He was back in his Moto2 days. Marco Bezzecchi, great recovery, great ride by Bez. I'm sure there's going to be a little tinge of regret that 2 long laps arguably cost him the chance to double up here in Australia. As some lucky fans get some prize. Got the move. We'll let them, I think, we'll let them top it out, shall we, down on the grid. Some special souvenirs getting flung into the crowd here on the Gardner Straight. Once again, thanks to the Australian fans who come here in their numbers at one of the most iconic Grand Prix venues. We don't always get too many favours from the weather. Australian fans once again out in force, come rain and shine, hail, wind, whatever. Now that's a bit more like it. Take a proper big goal barrel. New Australian Grand Prix winner then. Trackhouse Aprilia's Raul Fernandez. Not too many on RSGP have gone before him. Mason Spargaro, Mario Vinales, Marco Bezzecchi stand alongside him on the podium. Some weekend that for Aprilia. First and second in the sprint, double podium in the Grand Prix. Massimo Rivola, didn't he, said immediately after the Mandalika Grand Prix last time out that they do genuinely think they can take the fight to Ducati and Marc Marquez in the 2026 World Championship. The proof will be in the pudding. Time will tell on that particular prediction. But we will depart this spectacular coastal location of Phillip Island, and after the humidity of Mandalika a couple of weeks ago, well, we're going to be back in the shorts and t-shirts in just a few days' time. We'll shed the layers, as some Trackhouse members shed some tears after Raul Fernandez celebrates his first ever MotoGP victory. Never really looked in any serious doubt that he, once Marco Bezzecchi had to come in for the first of his 2 long laps. Looking forward to asking him afterwards just what it was all about, shaking that left hand down the Garden Straight at one stage. Was he just getting a little bit tense? We know how tough it is to tackle Phillip Island in the windy conditions on a MotoGP bike. But there goes the boot after Raul Fernandez put the boot into the opposition here in Australia. Well, our Asia Pacific tour has been an intense one as well, hasn't it? 4 overseas Grand Prix in the space of 5 weeks. The last one is one of the best before we head back to Europe for the season finale in Portimao and Valencia. Join us for the Grand Prix of Malaysia at the spectacular Sepang International Circuit.
Well, Raul Fernandez will head there as a MotoGP winner. Extraordinary to say that, but thoroughly deserved. Raul Fernandez, your winner from Fabio Di Gianantonio. Marco Bezzecchi from 2 long laps recovered to 3rd. Alex Marquez 4th, which puts him on the brink now for the runner-up spot to Championship. Acosta 5th, and Marini rinsed the first Yamaha home in 7th after Quattararo's collapse. Binder 8th from Bastianini, Polispargro. The pole sitter fell back to 11th ahead of Miguel Oliveira, Ayagura, Fermin Aldeguer. He plummeted to 14 plates on, with Frankie Morbidelli taking the final point. Pecco Bagnaia was on course to potentially finish as high as 10th, but he crashed with 4 to go. So Marc Marquez, of course, the champion. Alex Marquez on the brink now, finishing runner-up. He just needs a handful of points, which he can, of course, take in the sprint on Saturday in Malaysia to secure the run-up spot. Marco Bezzecchi takes over 3rd place after Bagnaia's late crash. Raul Fernandez, after his victory, vaults himself into the top 10 in the championship. Force Constructors champions, Aprilia hopes finishing 2nd, certainly boosted today by Raul Fernandez's victory. Catalanovo, of course, are the team's champions. Grassini set to finish 2nd, VR46 in a comfortable 3rd. Trackhouse, they leave up to 7th now. Independent rider standings, well, Alex Marquez can wrap this one up, of course, next time out in Malaysia. Fabio Di Gianantonio back into 2nd overall. Correction, of course, Alex has already done that. It was the team that could secure the independent crown this weekend. Grassini, after the result of the sprint yesterday, were unable to do that. That will surely come next weekend in Japan. We want some highlights then. Fabio Quattararo might not enjoy watching these after a tough afternoon from pole position. Once again, for number 20 was off the line where he lost a lot of his places, falling down to 4th on the 1st lap. Bezzecchi certainly completed objective number 1 with the 2 long lap penalties to come, taking the lead on lap 1. Acosta attacking Raul Fernandez in those early stages in the battle behind Bez for 2nd place. Bezzecchi was taking the first of his 2 long lap penalties that Raul Fernandez seized the lead, taking the inside into Stoner and able to sweep around the outside of Acosta. That was the move that ultimately secured Raul Fernandez MotoGP glory. So Bezzecchi rejoined from his first long lap in third. He would then come out of his second long lap penalty down in sixth place with too much traffic between himself and the front of the race. Acosta giving him plenty to try and stay in the podium hunt, but Blues third place though at this stage to Alex Marquez. Fabio Di Giannantonio and latterly Marco Bezzecchi also dive through. Bezzecchi holding an incredible pace in the last stages as he first took Acosta and then set his sights on Alex Marquez up ahead, who was about to lose second place to Fabio Di Giannantonio. Beautiful move through the H-shed. Bagnaia was salvaging some pride as he changed the top 10, but he crashed down moments after passing Quartararo for 12th. With around 3 laps to go, Bezzecchi returns to the podium positions once more, diving through on Alex Marquez. But in serene isolation at the front was Raul Fernandez, who from the moment Bez took his long lap penalties was never headed. Trackhouse join every other team in MotoGP. All 11 have now won. Raul Fernandez heads to Sepang as a MotoGP winner. We will see you in Malaysia in just 5 days' time. 15 world titles have been decided previously here in Sepang. It's going to roar into life here. It's flying down, we're racing here. It's Sepang in MotoGP. Oh, that's a massive, massive crash. Marquez out of contention. He's already punching the air in the lights. Alex Marquez is a MotoGP winner. A massive weekend in Malaysia. 2025 is set to be a year like no other. Remco Supercars Championship will be contested across 13 rounds, 6 states and 2 countries. It is showtime! More racing, more unpredictability. Always evolving, always entertaining, always unforgettable. Haley, Marco. Come on, mate. On his back to the captain teammate Bastianini. Now he's going for the front. Martin, he's not going to make that work. On the cutback will come Pedro Acosta. Oh, Mero Marquez. I think Marquez might have lost Mero. Here he goes, and now Martin, he tries this move. Big switch there on the front. Now Marquez. Oh, and he's almost into the back of Martin. That's going to allow Marquez to slip on the inside of Pedro Acosta. Bagnaia now takes third place from Pedro Acosta. Here comes Marquez though, so close. The move didn't pay off, and he drops back to 4. This is MotoGP at its very best in the Hirikota. Acosta trying to dish out some more payback on Bagnaia. Marquez now through into the podium position. Here comes Vinales raiding on the inside of Jack Miller. Yeah, it's getting better and better. Maverick Vinales, Baguette must still believe he can win this race. He's actually overtaking the reigning world champion there. And Maverick Vinales up into 4th place. comes Pedro Acosta, who wants to read the Grand Prix back, and he just muscles Martin aside. Pedro Acosta regains the lead in Austin.
Marquez on the inside of Pedro Acosta. Marquez hits the front for the first time in his Ducati career. Marquez has gone down. Marquez, as he crashes out of the lead at turn number 11. And now Maverick Vinales does find safe passage through Jorge Martin in the final corner. Wow, this has been the race of the season by a mile. Bastianini trying to go full send on the inside of Bagnaia. With 7.5 laps to go, what can Vinales do?
Vinales takes the lead.
It's unbeatable.
Bastianini crawling all over the World Championship leader.
Bastianini on the red paint on the outside. It's magnificent, magic Maverick Vinales. He completes the treble in Texas. The first rider to win 3 MotoGP races for 3 different manufacturers. A supersonic performance by Maverick Vinales. Martin has already taken the checker flag as he makes it 12 successive sprint podiums.
This is MotoGP. This is the Spanish Grand Prix. Jorge Martin, your World Championship leader, claims that victory. Marc Marquez is out for revenge this afternoon.
A nation awaits. We are racing in MotoGP here in Spain. Marc Marquez has nailed the start from proposition. Jorge Martin mental on the inside of Marco Bezzecchi. But it's Marc Marquez that leads his home Grand Prix. How far back goes Paco Bagnaia? How did he get that stop? Bagnaia means business. He's got the inside line though through on Marc Marquez. Paco Bagnaia, he leads at the end of an incredible first lap.
Marc Marquez is fighting straight back into turn number 1, and Jorge Martin's going to take advantage.
Marquez back in third. Here we go then, it's Bagnaia that leads. Sideways goes Bagnaia, he made a mistake. Martin and Marquez power on through. And now Bagnaia side by side with Marquez. Bagnaia now in second. Martin then does hit the front. Here comes Bezzecchi on the inside of Marquez. The boss looking very happy.
I done second corner 6. I didn't expect to turn at that point. Complicated to understand why I crashed.
Jorge Martin crashes out at turn 6. smashes out of the lead here in Jerez. Another gift-wrapped present to Paco Bagnaia here in Spain. Will stay on board with the 93. On the inside he goes. And start now the attack towards Bagnaia. This is the moment, here he comes into the asphalt corner. Marc Marquez leads the Spanish Grand Prix. Bagnaia.
After the flag, after an incredible, momentous Australian Grand Prix. Welcome to After the Flag. Luke's got a bit of Jack Appleyard with you. Now, behind the camera, there's a slogan around this Phillip Island circuit. It says, the roar of the island. Today it was the roar of Raul. Raul Fernandez is a MotoGP winner. Words that precious few thought they'd be saying coming here this weekend. But in form, Raul Fernandez after Indonesia. Second to Prix yesterday. One thing we can say for certain, Jack, is this victory was no fluke.
No, he won the race comfortably in the end. Yes, Marco Bezzecchi's double long lap penalty cost him the chance of winning today, but when you're in the lead for so many laps, when you're edging ever nearer to a debut MotoGP victory, there are so many things that can go through your head, especially around a circuit like this where tyre conservation, fuel conservation is so important. And you say those words are what so few people thought they would say this weekend. I think those words are what so few people thought they would ever say, because Raul Fernandez, as I put to him in Parc Ferme, he's been denied, he has been doubted by so many ever since he stepped up to MotoGP, but finally, at long last, the potential, the talent that I think we all knew was there, because you don't break Marc Marquez records in Moto2 by fluke. It's finally starting to come to fruition, and what a day for Aprilia as well. What a weekend for Aprilia. The fact that they've managed to get two motorcycles on the podium in both the Sprint and the Grand Prix. I think Percy said it in commentary, we've been saying it all weekend long. We've been saying it for the past few Grand Prix. I think we can safely say, for the first time in a very long time, Ducati don't have the best bike on the grid.
So we'll cover Ducati as we go through the show. Few stories surrounding the various Ducati riders, of which we did see one on the podium today, Gian Antonio, who we'll hear from shortly. Like you say, Raul Fernandez was criticised. There's no question about that. Criticised essentially for his attitude at times at the early stages of his MotoGP career, perhaps a lack of maturity in his Tech 3 days. And we were waiting for him to truly ignite on an Aprilia with first RNS and then back out to Leather Sprint last season in Barcelona. That was something of a false dawn, but we've now seen over consecutive Grand Prix weekends a very, very valuable and well-earned podium in the Sprint, last time out in Indonesia. And it took a brilliant Marco Bezzecchi to beat him even yesterday, and it was clear that as much as we thought Bezzecchi had the pace to overcome the double long laps, that Raul Fernandez face never dropped.
No, he's clicked. He's finally clicked with the MotoGP machine. And you say there was some immaturity there at first. It took him a while to find the right training regime to make sure he was prepared for MotoGP racing. He's gone through a number of personal trainings. He's changed how he prepares for Grand Prix motorcycle racing. It feels like every 6 months. The team around him has changed so frequently as well, whether it was his personal assistant, his personal trainer. It seemed like it was in constant evolution, and as a result of that off the track uncertainty, it allowed then the performances not to come on track because he didn't have any stability behind the scenes. But this year he's finally managed to find a working environment where he's happy. Noe Herrera is crew chief, of course, he worked with him in his Moto2 days, and Davide Brivio, again, he's able to unlock that talent out of the very best in MotoGP. And as you say, his rhythm, his pace today was superb. When he had to put the lap times in, he had to dip into the 27, he did. And I think all of us were watching the timing screens, and given how his career has gone in MotoGP so far, I think there were some of us that were fearful that maybe he could have burned up that rear tyre in the early stages and he wouldn't be able to continue that advantage through to the end of the race. But you have to say, it was the perfect race. He had that built up the advantage. And yes, the tyre dropped at the end, but that advantage he built up was enough to see him come across the line at a comfortable victor.
The big story pre-race, of course, was the double long lap penalty that Marco Bezzecchi had coming into the Grand Prix. And Massimo Rivola said something very, I think, sage and very important to you before the race. It wasn't so much the time serving the penalties that was the problem, it was the traffic after serving it.
Yes, getting back through was always going to be the issue. We saw it with Alex Marquez in Austria earlier in the year. It went perfectly for Bezzecchi. If he could have planned out the race, it would have happened exactly like that. Get the whole shot, put in as many fast laps as he possibly can to build up that advantage, but the issue was, it is tough to pass on these MotoGP machines nowadays, and his advantage today with the move back to the slightly harder medium rear tyre was nowhere near as large as what it was on the soft yesterday, and he wasn't able to extract enough to be able to take victory, but still a great fight from Bezzecchi to come through to take third spot. Important points in the championship. You feel now with 3 to go that third in the World Championship, which he has now taken, is surely going to be his.
He's 8 points now ahead of Pecco Bagnaia. Give it another lap or two, he might have taken second today. It made him a pretty 1-2. Second though went to Fabio Di Gianantonio, whose love affair with Phillip Island continues. Here he is, speaking about first.
Yeah, well, it's fair to say Fabio Di Gianantonio's love affair with Phillip Island continues after your first MotoGP podium here a couple of years ago. Fabio, you're back on that special top 3 here once again. It was always going to be a tough battle coming from the 4th row of the grid in 10th. You got so close to the podium in yesterday's sprint. Today you did it. Must make you proud with that recovery.
I'm super proud of my team because they worked so hard that they gave me an amazing bike for the weekend. I was quite upset yesterday after qualifying because for some reasons out of our control we lost the opportunity to start on the front, so we thought that our chances to make a podium or win were gone, but then it was not, because I did an amazing start, I did amazing overtakes, really thanks to the bike and the team. And then, yeah, it's a bit of feeling because maybe starting from the front could be a chance for us to fight with Raul, but it's okay. We have to take what he did, and FC also because I'm 16th yesterday night, so it is a double victory, let's say, for us.
What's been the problem?
Physically.
That's what I mean, like just not what's been
like
the issue?
fever and these things, so my energy is really low. Like I started in the race, and after third, 4th lap I was stuck a little bit in the back because I was like, fuck, all the 20 laps to go.
Talk us through, I mean, you made some incredible overtakes. One of the special ones was on Fabio Quartararo going through, I think, the right-hander of turn A. That's a brave, that's a bold move there, Fabio. You always get a lot of confidence in that part of the track.
Yeah. If you remember, also 2 years ago I was doing quite a lot of overtakes there, and yeah, it's a corner that I really love. When you are enjoying with the bike, the place, the track, everything comes easier, and sometimes you even don't understand really and don't realize what you are doing. But yeah, I saw before a little bit the lights, and some overtakes are really nice.
You've had to wait a long time for this podium. Obviously, your last one was in Mugello, a special one. That
Yeah, but the biggest congratulations of all goes to Davide Brivio and the Trackhouse team. Many congratulations from all of us. Just some of your emotions of not just how big a day this is for Raul, but also for Trackhouse.
Yeah, of course, you know, Trackhouse, we are a new team. We only came last year, and also we are an independent team, but we have a great support from Aprilia, but also, I mean, today, big congratulations to Raul for the job he has done, the way he managed the race, stay leading. It's not easy not to stay in the lead. We had to manage the tire because we knew that the end of the race would have been difficult, but keep a constant pace. So I'm very happy that we have seen Raul on this way. Yeah. So let's see.
You mentioned new team, only 18 months into this project, the new American owners. Just how difficult has it been to start from scratch and get to this point today where the team are a MotoGP race winners?
Yeah, in reality, okay, we didn't start really from scratch, to be honest, because that was the RNF team. Of course, with Trackhouse, a new management, American company, we try to let's say, put our vision into the project. To be the idea is to try to challenge, first of all, the other independent team, challenge the factory team, and then these results give us also more motivation to go to this let's say, to this target, no? To this ambition. And yeah, we have a great support from Trackhouse, from Justin, and you know, I'm also happy we won because we won 5 races in the NASCAR Championship. We needed to do something also in the MotoGP, and we felt the pressure. And here we are, and we're done, so I'm very happy.
Let's just talk about Raul's journey, because he has been through hell and back in MotoGP, because he's been scouted so often, criticised so often. I don't think there were many people that felt that potential we saw in Moto2 was ever going to be seen in MotoGP. How did you keep him believing that this day would come?
Yeah, simply, I mean, there's no question that he has a great talent. And also, last year when we decided to confirm him in our team, we thought that he could have been the leader rider. And while he grew up high, Ogura, which he has a great potential as well. And so he's a great talent. He only needs to believe in himself, concentrated on the work, try to find the working system, how to work in a garage, giving importance to the important things, to be concentrated, focus on what counts and stuff like that. And the beginning of the season has been quite tough. We were struggling to score points, and but then we kept talking and trying to see what we can improve. He also he worked a lot during the winter on his physical preparation, which was a little bit lacking last year. So little by little, then we started in Le Mans to be in a top 10 position. We kind of kept for many races in that. Then we started to say, let's try to get in the top 7. But then he jumped suddenly on a podium in these last 2 weekends. So anyway, I'm happy because he can show his talent. And also today he showed how he can be also intelligent, good on managing races, and I think he's a guy that he came here very excited after Mandalika, the podium, and so he probably grow up the confidence with these days, you know? This helped him to get confidence on himself and moving forward.
So, well, the world's leader all want a piece of you, so we'll be still to let you go. So we're going to let you go, but many congratulations, Davide, and enjoy the celebrations all the way to Malaysia.
Congrats, Davide. Well done.
Davide Rubio, team manager of Trackhouse and Prix. One achievement that they have knocked up today, which deserves mentioning, is that every MotoGP team on the grid, all 11 now, are MotoGP winners.
Yeah, which is just an unbelievable stat, isn't it? That every single team up and down the MotoGP grid has taken success, even in their infancy, even just into their second year. Trackhouse have been able to pull that off. It just proves the competitiveness of the sport. And after a couple of years where Ducati have dominated, you just look at the lap times, the time sheets from last year where it was all about Ducati. Boy, has that changed. Those concession rules, which I think we're going to go into, are working. Honda are rising, Yamaha, although they've had a tough day today, are rising, and Aprilia definitely are as close to Ducati as ever been. KTM needs to, for a head of compensate, get that little bit closer.
Well, 2 long laps proved just too much in the end for Marco Bezzecchi, but still a fine podium for him, sitting directly now to Matt.
It has been an incredible weekend here in Australia for Aprilia and for Marco Bezzecchi. First and second with you and Ralph Fernandez in the sprint yesterday, Marco. You always knew it was going to be a tough challenge today to win the Grand Prix with those 2 long laps, but boy, did you put up an incredible fight. You gave your maximum out there today. How happy are you to still rescue the podium?
Yes, I'm very happy. Yes, resume perfectly my sensation now. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even hope for the win because I knew that maybe it was gonna be too stressful for myself. But I didn't expect also the podium, to be honest. What I knew was that we tried to plan a strategy and with my boys, and I have to say that they have been fantastic because the strategy worked perfectly. Of course, the start was super important to do it well, but yeah, amazing. Then when I saw how the race was going, I expected to be able to make fourth as a maximum result because I lost a bit of time with Pedro and he's super strong in braking. But then when I passed him and I pushed to escape and to secure this fourth place, I saw that Alex was a bit in trouble and I said, okay, let's try to give everything, and at the end, if I will be able, I try to pass. If not, I will be close and we will see. So very, very happy.
Talk us through the plan. You obviously sat down with the team, you had long discussions about what would be the best strategy with the 2 long laps. So talk us through how you did plan it out in your mind before the race and how well you executed it.
Well, to be completely honest with you, I didn't plan anything because my guys didn't want to put in the position to have too many thoughts in my mind. And already during a weekend you have to think about many things, riding, electronics, and try to be at your best shape, let's say. And I wasn't, because also I'm still hurt on my back, so they planned this strategy, and my job was to try to start in the best way possible and push a lot to try to have a small gap to at least after the first long lap don't finish in the big group. So fortunately my start was super good and I tried my all to make a gap, and this for sure helped for the penalty, but compromised a little bit my mid-race pace because I couldn't do anything more with the tires.
Third place in the Grand Prix, now third place in the World Championship. You really have been so impressive in these last few Grand Prix, Marco. It's been a great weekend, as mentioned, for Aprilia, with you first and second with Raul yesterday. Raul taking his first Grand Prix win today. A lot of people now are saying, despite the success of Marc, that Aprilia is the best bike on the grid right now. Would you agree with that?
For me, yes. I mean, it's my bike for sure. I cannot make a comparison with the other bikes. It's impossible, of course. The level that they showed from many years to now, it's been amazing and it's still amazing. I don't want to be too ambitious. So let's say that for me, for sure, it's my best bike. I love my bike, and hopefully we can continue this way. We will work hard and we will see. I don't want to make any comparison.
We love watching you on that bike as well, Marco. Fantastic weekend, the sprint win, and a great fight back to third place in the Grand Prix. Well done, Marco. Rest up for Japan.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, what you can say, I guess, with certainty now is that Marc has less MotoGP. Aprilia clearly had the advantage. Of course, Bez was a very close second to Marc Marquez in Misano just before the flyway started, and Aprilia have won the 2 flyways recently rather comfortably, or they won the sprint at least in Indonesia. They won the Grand Prix, of course, because of Betseki's incident, which then led across to here. So how have they got themselves into such a strong position? Because you can't exactly say that they were static at Ducati's heels when the season began.
No, it's those mid-season changes which have really elevated Aprilia's level. In particular, at the start of the season they were complaining about stability under braking. They introduced some pretty radically different rear aero, a slightly new ride height device as well, and a very, very small tweak to the chassis, and that has allowed them from that point onwards to really raise the level, and that all comes down to the works of Fabiano Sterlachini. He was brought in at the start of the season to replace Romano Albertiano. Let's not forget, Sterlachini was a man that was surplus to requirements at KTM. Ever since that move, it feels like KTM has stagnated and Aprilia has overtaken them and are way beyond where KTM are at now. I mean, Pedro Acosta must be seething at the fact that in the space of 2 weeks, Fermin Aldeguer and Ralph Fernandez, 2 men that I'm sure he's looked at and compared himself alongside, similar age, similar nationality, and come through the ranks alongside him, have managed to beat the MotoGP race victories. And Acosta, although he probably won't admit it, well, knowing what he's like and the bravado he's got, probably will admit that he feels
he's a better rider than both of them. He feels he should be fighting for MotoGP race victory. So, big question marks over the decisions made at KTM, which has seen them in the position they're at now where they're struggling to fight for victory. I mean, just look at the long races. The trend is saying over recent weeks that they just cannot get that rear tyre to the end. The other manufacturers are looking after it far better, whereas Aprilia, and it's a lot down to the work of Fabiano Sterlachini, have got themselves a World Championship contending motorcycle. We can't doubt that now. Going into next year, looking at the form book since the turn of the mid-season, they're going to be really putting Ducati under all sorts of pressure. You need Jorge Martin's bit, because they're going to need the pair of them, both Marco and Jorge, to be firing on all cylinders. If they are, with a full pre-season, Ducati are going to be worried going into next year, because these guys here in black are serious.
Your entrance, Pedro Acosta there. He finished 5th in the end today, behind Bezzecchi and Alex Marquez, who took 4th. Alex Marquez didn't clinch second in the championship today, but probably will in the sprint in 6 days' time in Sepang. Pedro Acosta once again demonstrating his powers of defence and just how tenacious he is, but not even Pedro Acosta could hold that torrent back today.
No, Acosta is eating every last second out of that KTM. At the moment, you cannot deny that, but right now, that is the maximum. It's not going to change up until the end of the season. It's going to take some big changes over pre-season, where, yes, there was a lot of turbulence during the pre-season this time around. Let's hope with a little bit more settled winter, KTM can find something to allow Pedro to fight for victory.
Well, the Aprilia Racing CEO, Massimo Ruvola, joins us. We'll talk about Marco in just a moment, but how much pride do Aprilia take from launching another new MotoGP winner today in the form of Ralph Fernandez?
300. This is a 300 victory for Aprilia in Moto Mondiale. It's good that it's coming from a guy that we believed on him, and he finally delivered. I think that, after the test in Aragon, he started being very fast, and I'm very happy that today in a track like that he made it. But Marco did something really special, I think. I especially think about not just the race of today, but what he was carrying from the mistake of Indonesia. So recovering so many places, having the 2 long laps in such a narrow route to do so was just perfect.
I want to ask on 2 things, Massimo. Firstly, we were just speaking about the work of Fabiano Sterlachini, the progress that the bike has made throughout the season has got it to a point now where you've had 2 bikes on the podium in 3 of the last 4 races. Just talk to us about the job he's done to bring to Aprilia to the level that they're at now.
Yeah, Fabiano is doing a really great job. He's really committed. He sees the opportunity. But I'm not a fan of the one-man show, so I would prefer to congratulate to all the people in Noale and here on track that is following Fabiano through, and yeah, many areas improve, many areas improve, but you know, at this level is never enough. So today we came here, clearly we were fast, very fast with the bike, like in Indonesia too. We will go to Sepang and maybe, I don't want to say we are lost, but it's going to be different. So the gaps are so narrow, so small that you cannot really even enjoy too much. Today is another day, and we need to prepare Sepang quite in the best way.
And secondly, now 3rd in the World Championship. I saw a quote when you were speaking to Sky Italy during the break in between here and Indonesia, where you said we're ready to fight for a World Championship next year. Both you, Marco and Jorge, when you have a full pre-season, how ready are you to challenge Ducati and Marc Marquez?
I think that is our target. It must be our target, and we cannot hide that we are happy to win 1 race or 2 in the season. I mean, we have all the potential, we have everything to win, and we have everything to fight for the victory. We have the riders, we will have Jorge back. As you said, we need a proper pre-season. No, Jorge needs to do that. Obviously, Marco will start with the season on the shoulder, so that will be big experience for him. But Jorge needs to learn to be patient and to work on that. but it's good also to count on a strong satellite team. I'm really happy that Raul now is there, and I'm very confident that Ayogura will come, because every time we see the progress from Friday to Sunday. Sunday is always the day where is the fastest with himself. I mean, so and next year Aprilia, I think, can be strong. Obviously, we don't know where the other will be, but according to what we are doing and the way we are working, I think we'll be part of the game.
Fly starting to attack us here now in the paddock, and some rain starting to fall on our heads, so we'll let you go inside. But many congratulations to all of the Aprilia for the job that's been done today. Let's hear from your winner, the Australian Grand Prix winner, Raul Fernandez. Give me his reaction to that.
Okay, cool. Well, what a weekend that has been here in Phillip Island for Trackhouse Aprilia's Raul Fernandez. Raul, congratulations. I've got one thing to say to you. You are a MotoGP race winner. How does that feel?
I cannot believe. Still, I cannot believe that we get the victory. Still, we had a lot of work to do. Still, I am thinking how many times we spent to work to come here and to get this result, and still I believe that I have one of the best teams in the world, because they never stop to believe me. They never, when I come, do you know, when you come to the boss and you have some problems, they never, or I never see his face with some question. I mean, it is something that in the difficult moment you feel that we are a family. In the difficult moment you know that Aprilia support even more me. So yeah, I am very happy. It means that the team make a super good job. At the beginning of the season we had a lot of problems. My family, especially my brother, helped to me in a lot of difficult situations. But anyway, yes, I can say that thanks to them, I get my first MotoGP victory.
You just talked about the support, the belief, the trust that Trackhouse have given you.
Raul Fernandez will be speaking again shortly in the press conference, so if you want more reactions from our winner, you'll have that shortly. My thanks to Jack. Thanks to all of you for joining us here in Australia. We're heading across now to Malaysia, Sepang, for round 20 of the season next weekend. We look forward to your company there. Today, though, belongs to Trackhouse and Raul Fernandez, MotoGP's newest winner.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sunday post-race press conference here at Phillip Island at the end of the Liqui Moly Australian Grand Prix in 2025. We're joined by our top three on the podium. What a day to remember for Raul Fernandez and the Trackhouse MotoGP teammate. First time winner in the Premier Class, 7th different winner this season in MotoGP. 5 different winners now in the last 5 Grand Prix. What's turning out to be a pretty incredible end to 2025. Congratulations to you, Raul. Second place, after a real hard fight through to 10th place on the grid, is Fabio Di Gianantonio, riding for the Pertamina and Eurovia racing team. And it was another fantastic ride once again by Marco Bezzecchi, riding for the Aprilia racing squad. Marco, the winner in the sprint yesterday, and despite those 2 long laps in that 27-lap Australian Grand Prix, somehow still forced his way back through into a fantastic third place. Gentlemen, well done to all three of you. We'll start the press conference first of all with you, Raul. Huge congratulations. An incredible special day for you and the team. You are a MotoGP winner for the very first time. Not an easy race to manage in those windy conditions, but you have done it. How do you feel?
Yeah, still, I don't believe it. Yesterday when I saw the sprint, Marco had an amazing pace. And also DJ in the last part of the sprint have a really good pace. This morning, when I had a meeting with the team, we found that to fight for the podium was an unrealistic position, but I never thought that we had the choice to get the victory. Anyway, I am really happy for me, for my team, but especially for my family and for my brother, because he always supports me. Today we had a very difficult condition, especially the last part of the race with the wind, but anyway, I try to manage. I try to warm up well the rear tire, and after that, when I overtook Pedro, and I saw that I had a very similar pace than Marco, I say, okay, maybe it's the day, but you don't need to make a mistake. And in that moment, I just try to be focused on me, try to don't think a lot, and try to enjoy the moment. And that's it, what I did. In the last 4 laps, I tried to don't make a mistake, but I removed the tire off, and I couldn't take again the handlebar. And also, it fell to me to say, okay, at least you don't win, you need to be calm if you want to get the victory. And I try to be even more relaxed, but in the last lap, in the last sector, I start to cry in the helmet, and yes, I am very happy for Trackhouse, but also for Aprilia, because it's a 300 victory for them, so yes, congratulations also for you.
The fourth different rider to win for Aprilia, of course, the late Spargo, Maverick Vinales and Marco Bezzecchi sat alongside you. The first time two Aprilias on a Sunday podium, Catalunya in 2023. You just talked about those last 4 laps, Raul. I guess at times it felt like 4 years. But how did you feel when we crossed the line? How did you manage the end of the race?
It was difficult, but I tried to be focused. On the dashboard we have the sectors, and I was just thinking to don't make a big mistake and try to be constant. It's true that the last 3-4 laps I have a big drop of the tire, and I just try to survive out. But for me the more difficult thing was when I ended turn 10 and I make the last sector. I start to cry, and also the last lap that I made, I was all the lap crying because I don't. This morning I never thought that was the day to get the victory.
Well, congratulations, you Aprilia and Tissot out as well on a wonderful day here in Australia. An excellent day as well for Pertamina Enduro VR46 Racing. We know how much Fabio Di Antonio loves Phillip Island after 2023, and also a big battle for the podium here last year. Fabio, I think you've been a bit under the weather, a bit ill so far this weekend, so today's podium was the perfect pick-me-up.
Yeah, for sure. We did an amazing job, I think, last week in the preparation of the weekend, because the team did a lot of analysis and study and understood what could be the best package for us to race with here. And yeah, that was the key to make this kind of performance. Bittersweet feeling, because we know that we ruined a little bit our chances to make a possible podium or a win after qualifying, but it was out of our control, so it was like this. And yeah, for sure the fever didn't help at all. Yesterday night I was really sick. I went to at my house here, well, not mine, but at house here. I'm still not that rich. I went out quite early because I was feeling so bad, and yeah, I had to make the job done. We did an amazing race. I'm super happy, super proud about the overtake, because it was not easy, started from P10. But yeah, proud of the team, proud of the performance, and happy.
Maybe you can buy the house with your podium bonus now, Fabio. You may actually save so many.
I need to negotiate a little bit, because it's not close.
As mentioned, starting from the 4th, going 10th place, it's not easy to make overtakes. You made so many of them. Which one do you feel was the best? Who was the toughest to get through?
Well, you know that when I have this kind of problem, let's say, when I do the race, in the short time, I never remember everything. Like some things, it means that you do by instinct, you know. Yeah, so I don't remember every overtake. Maybe the one with Pedro, because I didn't expect him to overtake me in turn number 1, and I jumped back inside on the turn number 2. It's not easy at all to make it there. But also the overtake that I've done in turn 8 is another big bolt corner. So these two are my favorites.
It was a fantastic move you made on Fabio Quartararo in that corner. Marco himself also made some pretty good moves in that turn. We saw Chris Hamilton here as well. Maybe a lucky mascot for the team. Maybe you can bring him to Japan next week as well.
Definitely. I was feeling the Avenger feeling. You know, I was like a superhero with him in the garage. It's been great to meet him. Great to have him in the garage. He's a super nice and humble person. So it was definitely an extra motivation to make it special this weekend.
Fabio, great to see you back on the podium here once again in Phillip Island, completing today's top three then is Marco Bezzecchi. Marco, it was always going to be a tough race, a big challenge for you to win with the two long laps, but put up an incredible fight. You dropped back to sixth at one stage, fought your way back inside that top three. I mean, it's not a win, but it must feel pretty close to it, given all the circumstances you had to deal with.
Yeah, it's been nice. Super tough because, as you said, I never thought honestly about the victory. Only the journalist thought about it. But yeah, you. But I didn't even expect a podium. So to be honest, when the race was going on, I tried my best to be far in the moment that I did the first long lap, to don't finish inside the pack, you know. And my strategy fortunately worked well. To be completely honest, it was the strategy from my team, not him. And then after the second long lap, fortunately I was only sixth, so better than I expected. But having pushed so much in the beginning, I couldn't stress more the tires. If not, I was going to be dead in the last lap. So yeah, super happy when I fought with Pedro. I thought that fourth was the maximum. It's super hard to overtake him, so I said, okay, that's it. Let's try to escape from him and secure this fourth place. But then I saw that also with Alex I was catching him, so I said, okay, let's continue pushing, and at least I tried.
Of course, today's result means you are now third in the World Championship, moving ahead of Pecco Bagnaia. Taking nothing away from Raul, do you think without the two long laps, it was clearly, like it was in the sprint yesterday, going to be a battle between you two, because it seems like Aprilia and you and Raul have been that little step ahead of everybody else this weekend?
Well, it's impossible to say it, because at the end I did the race with the two long laps, of course. I don't know, because Raul was super good this weekend, and I felt good also with the bike. They are all the Aprilia factory is working in an amazing way. So let's say that it's okay like this.
Well, a fantastic weekend, as you mentioned, for Aprilia. And that's enough from me, Raul, Fabio and Marco. Congratulations once again on your fantastic podium. We'll take questions please now from the media. Thank you.
Simon Patterson from the race. Raul, you've already reminded me of Spectring 2 years ago. How hard has the last 2 years been to maintain the confidence that you could do this?
Yeah, it was very difficult. But the good thing is I feel that I have a really good people around me, and they help me a lot. And also the last year when I decided to stay on the team, I think I had the best choice to keep in here with a factory bike, and it helped me a lot to remove the pressure, to stay focused on myself, to try to work in my way, and I think it was the key. After a 4 very difficult years, I get again to be in a victory position. Still, I don't believe it, but if I have to say something, I am here, I think, for my family and for my brother, because he always helped to me. Also, the team helped to me a lot, but he's the more important people in my life, and when I have a very difficult situation, he always support me.
Last Hércoles, diario San Cadena, question for Marco. Is so much to say that in this moment the Aprilia is at the level of Ducati, or it's only by the last 2 seasons that go very well for the bike?
I don't know. I mean, for me it's impossible to make a comparison because I don't ride the Ducati. I'm an Aprilia rider, but what I can say is that now I feel super good with my bike. The engineers are doing a wonderful job, and to be honest, we've been
quite consistent. Of course, there are tracks where the characteristics of the bike are super good, and there are other tracks where the bike is anyway super good, but everyone is a little bit more close, and maybe we have to try to work more. So I don't know to answer you in a specific way, but I think that we are making steps forward.
Hi, Dimitri Diasidis from MotoGP Greece. A question from each one of you. Marco, first of you, the second long lap, it seems to me, and I didn't check the time, that it was a little slower than the first one. It was due to the consumption of the tires, or you just make it a little slower. And then, when you understood that you can re-attack for the first position after a small pace, not very fast?
Well, the second long lap, to be honest, I tried my best like in the first one, so I don't know if it was slower or not. I think that I wanted to be fast, of course, but also I didn't want to touch the green and do the long lap again. So I kept myself a couple of tenths instead of losing 2 more seconds. I tried to manage. First of all, I had to make the tire breathe a bit, so it was not a decision to slow down, was what I had to do. But then when I realized that I was not losing time managing, I said, okay, let's try to be patient, and if it's possible at the end, let's try to be closer. And then I tried.
Question for Raul. Raul, in the beginning of the championship, you weren't at that easy as you seem to be now in this last part. What changed in your bike, your team, and yourself during this race?
I say a lot of times. I think for me the big change was the rest test. We had a lot of time to work. I think I make a very big mistake at the beginning of the season when I crashed in Japan and I was injured. My comeback was quite soon, and it doesn't help to create the bike setup. So for me, basically the big change, we had some tests in the middle of the season that we had time to work in ourselves, and we found something that helped me to ride better the bike.
And question from Fabio. Fabio, do you think that GP25 is better on tire consumption than 24, and one of the reasons that Alex lost so easy to your attack?
I've always been a good tire manager, actually, so I did many races coming back and managing well the tires, so I think even with whatever bike I was using today, maybe the result was the same. Again, GP25, 24, in our cases, they are just names that we had to make, at the beginning of the year, the name of the bike. When you are a factory rider, you have just a lot of pieces with a lot of codes, and you just try to make the bike the best package possible to push and go fast. So my bike was not 25, 24, 26, 23, whatever. It's just the best bike that Ducati gives me to go fast, and in my case, I'm also able to manage well the tires. So I don't think that the model year of the bike would change something today.
Mr. Kumotor, a question for you, Marco. Could you tell us a bit how the bike has improved in the beginning of the season? Where were the steps you have done, and what you see, in your opinion, to improve on the bike, and what the bike is doing very well compared to the others?
Well, the bike we improved a bit on every aspect of the riding. Of course, we still need to work on many of them, because some tracks we are super good, but some tracks we still need to improve. But at least we are more consistent now. The bike is, I enjoy when I ride the bike, and the stability improved. That was the biggest issue for me at the beginning, and this gave me the confidence to finally be back on braking as I was a couple of years ago. So I think that this for me was the best improvement.
Neil Morrison, a question for Raul and for Fabio. Raul, yesterday we saw you fighting with Tissot ahead of everyone else in the sprint race, and with Marco doing a double long lap today, obviously a lot of expectation on your shoulders. How did you manage that expectation today, and was it quite difficult to remain calm before the race?
I know that he had to double long laps to make today, but I still thought that he had a pace to come back. So to be honest, I don't think too much on the victory. I just thinking to try to get my first podium. But the moment when I see that the victory we had the choice to fight for the victory was when I overtake Pedro, and I have a very similar pace than Marco. In that moment, I say, okay, he has to make two double long laps. Maybe here we can have a gap, and maybe with this gap he cannot come back. But anyway, I just trying to be focused on me, on don't make a mistake, and it helped me a lot to be focused.
Okay, thank you. And Fabio, some of the other Ducati riders have been struggling a lot with stability this weekend, Pecco in particular. Just curious, was this an issue that you were having? If so, how did you adapt to it? How did you overcome this?
Well, the bike in Phillip moved a lot actually. I don't know about the others, I was not in their bikes, but in my case for sure we started the week with the bike moving a lot. But then I was able to go fast anyway. Then I spoke a lot of times with my coach, and they always say in Phillip the bike has to move. If it's not moving, you are not going fast. So it's a thing that you keep in mind, and when it moves you say, okay, maybe I'm going fast enough. So you know, sometimes for sure the stability of the bike is super important, but when the conditions are like this more or less for everybody, you need to handle the situation as best as possible. Like other times, maybe the bumps, or you know, every time there are condition changes, and I think we've just been the best, maybe Ducati, to adapt, the best rider, the best team, the best Ducati to adapt to the situation.
Fabio, thanks to you, there is another Ducati in the podium, but how do you see the Prix in this moment, and do you think that still the Ducati is the best bike of the grid?
Really difficult question. I think definitely our competitors are working in a great way. We saw that every manufacturer is closing the gap with us. We knew that Ducati had a big gap with the other manufacturers, but now Aprilia is more and more closer, or even ahead of us. Honda is coming closer, Yamaha, as we saw, Quartararo did, I don't know how many pole positions this year, 5. So for sure we have to work. For sure the work that we've done this year could have done better, but it's part of racing, it's part of the game. We are a big team. I would say that we are a big team, me, VR and Ducati, and we are working so hard to make our bike always better and better and better. I just can't wait to start to work on the 26 bike.